Hey, I think the thing on here says we're live. I am hoping we are live. I'm sure that anybody will tell me if we are not live. But yeah, thanks again to Stephan for sorting this out, and thanks to Annie for joining us. I'll just ignore Premier League football yesterday. Although a certain game at St James's was quite funny today. But anyway, let's not make it about the Premier League. But thanks to these two legends for joining me, and you were both pretty happy, I imagine, yesterday.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was going to call you Carl there for a second, Stephan. Sorry, because I'm used to saying that. Stephan, Annie, how are you both doing?
excellent this weekend. Excellent.
Can't
Not
imagine
bad,
why.
not bad.
I can't imagine that Stephan is not loving a certain man called Oliver Rathbone at the moment.
And we're definitely live, 100%.
Yes, okay, that's a good thing. Right, we'll go with that. But yes, yeah, we're gonna here you go for another hour and a half of chaos looking back at the championship. But here we go. So let's get through the fixtures before I make these two men lose their minds, which probably is quite a given for me. But anyway, let's I tell you what, let's start at the King Power Stadium. Normally, I would start with the teams at the top of the championship, but I think given the news that's come out of Leicester City today with Marty Cifuentes, I think this is quite appropriate. So Leicester City 1, Oxford United 2. Let's see if I can get this right. So goals from Sam Long and Mark Harris helped, despite Adel Fatou scoring late on for Leicester, steal a very important win for Oxford to keep them in touching distance of what is now fourth bottom Blackburn. And actually, it's only 2 points separating a few of the teams down there between Oxford and Blackburn, although Pompey have 2 games in hand after their draw today in the South Coast Derby. Yeah, vital win for Oxford, and I don't want, but the story will be about Cifuentes. But let's quickly talk about Oxford for a minute, and I'll start with Annie on this one. Obviously, great for Matt, I suppose. Although you can say that Leicester, obviously, they're not in great shape at the moment. I don't think you can underestimate how big a performance that must have took from Oxford away at the King Power to win that game.
Yeah, and he's unbeaten in 3 games now as well, Bloomfield. So he's sort of started well. Obviously, his first game against us, 0-0, a couple of 0-0s, and then now he's gone won his first game. So yeah, brilliant win. They need to sort of keep doing that. Oxford just need to keep plugging away, chipping away at the points, and they'll want to make the Kassam the place where they get the majority of their points, the bulk of their points. But if you can go and get what points, and especially wins like this, teams in mid-table, if you can go there and win, no reason why you can't accumulate enough points to go and stay up. So yeah, that's a cracking win for Oxford, and the second goal just typifies what you suppose you want from this Oxford team, where you're defending your own corner, and then straight up the pitch, with a couple of passes, Mark Harris's throw on goal, and scores a second. Bit of a scare when Fatou scored with 6 minutes to go, but yeah, that's a cracking win for Oxford. But obviously the big story is Marty Cifuentes, who
we just wanted to make sure we gave
not,
Oxford a bit of praise because obviously they do deserve praise for it.
yeah, and Cifuentes, another one of the many in recent years that have been sort of gone through the revolving door at Leicester. So I suppose you gentlemen will want to talk about that. So let's do that. Marty Cifuentes, I mean, what's gone wrong there?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a question. I'll ask Stephan this as well, actually, because obviously with Leicester, look, this season for me, and I've said before, that I feel like Leicester strike me as a team of individuals. Sorry, I agree with that. A group of individuals rather than a team. And I think last time, as Annie can attest to, the last time they were in the Championship 2 years ago, that was definitely not the case. Although, to be fair, they did have the likes of Jamie Vardy and Dewsbury Hall playing that season, whereas they don't have that this time. And obviously, that's going to be a massive help. But I think with Cifuentes going, although just despite the problems at Leicester, and despite what I've just said, I still believe the team should be doing better than it is if it functions a bit better as a unit, which obviously is a team game. But what do you think for Cifuentes' sacking? Well, actually, both of you. Do you guys think that Cifuentes getting sacked was the right decision, or do you think they're going to come to regret this?
No, I think it was the right decision because if you heard his comments after the game yesterday, he was asked, "Do you believe that you can still turn things around at this football club?" And he went, "Yeah, 100%." And then, what are we, 24 hours later? And then he's out the door. So it just goes to show, if you believe that you can turn something around, that's a bit like flogging a dead horse at the moment because, let's be honest, Leicester's season has not been great by their standards at all. And myself and Annie were just talking about this just before you came in the stream this evening, Michael, about Leicester's fall from grace, because when you think about it, in May, it'll be 10 years since they won the Premier League. Then we made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, the first time in their history. And then we had the spectacular fall from grace. Now, yes, they have lost the likes of Dewsbury Hall, Jamie Vardy, Danny Drinkwater, to name but a few. But you would think that even this Leicester team would be strong enough to compete in the Championship, being a parachute team from the Premier League. But that has not been the case this season, and I think the sacking has been fully justified.
Annie, what do you reckon about this with Cifuentes and the decision Leicester had to sack him?
I'm a bit torn about this, to be honest. Because you've got one hand at Leicester, who are a year one parachute team, have got some serious star quality in that team and should be really towards the top end of the division.
Top 6 minimum, surely.
But on the other hand, you've also got a Leicester team who are, or just at Leicester as a club, who are serious turmoil, on the brink potentially of a points deduction. You know, could barely sign anyone in the summer, got a couple in late on, Jordan James being one of them, who has been, I think, by far their standout player this campaign. So I don't think Cifuentes has really been helped that much, and you've still got the bad smell from the relegation 2 years ago and the relegation last year, where some players are still there, and obviously a lot of the players that were there last season are still there, and that sort of inability to completely hit the refresh button because of the financial constraints you do have, I think has not helped. It's not helped Leicester in the slightest. So I do feel a bit of sympathy for Marty Cifuentes, because we know the ceiling for this Leicester squad is a lot higher than where they are in the minute, and certainly how they've performed throughout the course of the season. But it's just, mentally, are they at it? And I don't. Well, it's proof that they haven't been anywhere near it sort of past few seasons. So it's a shame, because I think Cifuentes is a good manager, and I do think if given a stable job in a stable club in a stable environment with a good group of players, he will he will succeed if given time. But I just think Leicester is too chaotic for I think most managers in this division. So yeah, I do feel a bit of sympathy for Martin Fuentes. I'm hoping for his sake, and I do hope that another Championship club does recognise this guy is actually a good manager and takes him on, and maybe sort of ignores that taint on his CV. But yeah, Leicester, I mean, what hot mess they are as a football club. I think most Leicester fans would agree with that.
I love the second last sentence you put, which is pretty much sums up Leicester City. What a hot mess of a football club. I think that just kind of sums up their last few years, really. And obviously with their battles with both the Premier League and the EFL in terms of their financial fair play situation or profit sustainability situation, it's been a complete and utter chaotic mess. I'm with Annie on this. I think I'm quite torn on it, because I do rate Cifuentes at Championship level. But and again, look, I know it's an easy thing to come and say, but I'm looking at the team that started yesterday, and and caveat is the stink of the previous relegation. There might even be a toxicity within the group. I don't know. I'm not privy to what's going on behind the scenes, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But just on star power alone, compared to, say, what Oxford, for example, have, and this is why you've got to credit Oxford of how big a win that was for them. But you're looking at like Stellar Sheck in goal, Ricardo Pereira's still there, Yannick Vestergaard, Ben Nelson, Hamza Chowdhury, Abdul Fatawu, Bobby Reid, Mavadidi, Jordan Ayew. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm going, if it was in a cohesive and positive environment, that team would be a failure not to at least get in the playoffs, in my opinion. But it just seems like there's just something obviously not right behind the scenes. And there was a point Annie made actually a while back, and I want to credit him with this because, and I think it was Annie who said it, but Annie, correct me if I'm paraphrasing you here, but a point you raised, I believe, was Leicester's points deduction still hasn't been done yet. Now, if they get deducted -9 points, they're only out they're either in or out of the relegation zone on goal. Either way, goal difference separates them either side of the dotted line. And if that happens, do they then have the stomach for a relegation battle? And based on recent performances, you could argue the answer is no.
And based on last season and obviously the relegation before that from the Premier League,
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't really put up a fight last season, did they? They went on this horrible run under Van Nistelrooy. They sacked Steve Cooper. They were in a sort of healthy-ish position, 16th or something like that. I think outside the relegation zone, and then went on this absolutely tragic run under Van Nistelrooy and just completely collapsed. And they didn't have the bottle for it, didn't have the fight for it. Said the stomach for it last season. So why would that be any different in a championship relegation battle? Well, arguably, teams put on more points. Teams, also there's more games. It's more taxing, I'd say. And the end of the season running is an absolute nightmare if you're down there, down near the bottom of the division, and you're trying to fight for your life because it just feels so dragged on and so long. So. Yeah, I'd be worried if Leicester get hit with a points deduction big enough to put them in that conversation, really. But obviously, all hypotheticals at the moment, and this will be an incredibly interesting appointment that they pull out with. I thought they did quite well to get Cifuentes last summer because I thought, okay, that's a decent appointment.
So did I.
They've obviously put Andy King in interim position now, who obviously if Leicester. Won the Premier League with Leicester, Leicester legend, sort of club hero there. So that will, I suppose, get the support of the fan base for the first few games he's there. But they need a plan. And whether the EFL have got them under some sort of business plan, which sort of restricts how much they can sort of hire a manager for, whatever contracts they're dishing out, we'll find out. But wouldn't be surprised if Andy King's given the job until the end of the season, something like that. But yeah, this is concerning for Leicester, just because of everything that we've already talked about.
Just a quick question. I want to put this here, right? Because I was looking at, obviously, the relegation they had 2 years ago, and there was something Ant said to me when you think he was saying to me a couple of years ago, and this is why I kind of really wish Ant was on here, but I think he's kind of checked out from Leicester at the minute, which I suppose I don't blame. When you get to a stage where you're feeling apathetic, I think that's where the worst as a fan. But I was looking through some of the star power, just on their final day win over West Ham, nearly 3 years ago, basically. They did when they got relegated under Dean Smith. But really, it was that when Brendan Rodgers was kind of hanging around the place for too long, arguably. Obviously, defensively, the squad didn't look that great, but some of the players on the final day win over West Ham included Dewsbury Hall, Yori Tielemans, James Maddison, Harvey Barnes in that. And I'm thinking, wow. Like a squad like that's getting obviously I know it's not as simple as that, but the squad like that's getting relegated is like that's very poor. But since then it just feels like it's been a complete cluster fuck. Let's put it that way, to put it bluntly. But yeah, so we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens with it. But I'm with Andy. I wouldn't be surprised if Andy King gets dropped to the end of the season. But yeah, it's going to be it's never dull at Leicester City. Let's put it that way. It's never dull, and probably not for the right reasons. As I said earlier, very good win for Oxford. Before we move on, but yeah, big question marks. Stephan, is there anything you want to quickly finish on this before we move on to the next fixture?
It'll just be really interesting to see, as you say, whether we give Andy King the appointment to the end of the season or we bring somebody else in on a permanent basis. It'll just be really interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks as to what's going to happen with the manager situation, with the points deduction, with transfers, with everything. It's going to be a really interesting watch, I think.
Spot on. Couldn't agree more. Right, let's move on to some of the other fixtures within the championship. So let's start with the race at the top. And no, Stephan, we won't come to Wrexham yet. we'll come to both your clubs at the end. But let's see, where should we start? I'll tell you what then, let's start with Middlesbrough. Let's start with the Alan Brown derby, I guess you could call it that if you want to give it a mundane name for a derby. But yeah, and I say that because Alan Brown obviously is on loan from Sunderland at the minute at Middlesbrough, and he opens the scoring against his old club. What was a very close game, evidently, in a 4-0. Sorry?
Alan Brown goal machine, I think. It's twice
pretty much.
games.
I mean, he scored against Stoke in midweek, didn't he? So, yeah. where was this with us? I don't remember him being this prolific. I don't know if he scored for us, actually. I don't think he did. But anyway, no, he's doing fantastically well at Middlesbrough.
Played for you guys, to be fair.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose when we had, what was it, Joe Bellingham, Chris Riggin, Dan Neil. So yeah, okay, point taken. But either way, no, I think it's safe to say it's a very. I think what I like about this, and I said it in the summer, that I think for Middlesbrough, this brings Alan Brown brings a solid level of championship experience, and I think after the way the season ended the year before with Michael Carrick, I think it was pretty much needed. So not just for the fact he is obviously turning into a goal machine at the minute, but it's the fact his experience is vital and his versatility is quite handy as well. And obviously Annie's favourite player ever, Tommy Conway, of course, got a brace. Morgan Whittaker obviously ended up adding another goal to his tally for what's been a very good season. Obviously, we do have to caveat this with the fact Jordan Story did get sent off early in the second half, but by that point the score was 3-0. So, I think it was all pretty much all but done, really. But yeah, I mean, I'll start with you, Stephan, on this. Middlesbrough 4, Preston 0. I'll tell you what, and especially not to spoil another result we will talk about shortly, but I think it's been a pretty good day for Borough, or good weekend for Borough so far in the automatic promotion race.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I watched the highlights, and from what I saw, the Borough were all over Preston. Certainly going forward, some nice play. And Morgan Whittaker got his 50th goal, I believe, for Middlesbrough this week. So well done to him.
Did you say 50th goal for Middlesbrough? I was
Or
thinking he hasn't got that many, has he?
Maybe 50th goal in his career, but
I was going to say, you mean 50? Yeah.
hit
I
the
was going to say,
50
bloody hell, he's prolific. If he's got 50 goals
He's
for
got
Borough,
more
then
than
that's
that,
the most
I think.
prolific. That'd be the most prolific scoring record I've ever heard.
50th goal in his career anyway, so well done to him for that, reaching that milestone. No doubt the EFL or the Premier League, if he gets a transfer, will get the
I'm
tapes ready
surprised you weren't going
for
to
the
say,
next 50.
well, hey, Morgan Whittaker, you've scored 50 goals for Borough. Do you fancy playing for Wrexham? Go on, son. You know you want to move over to Wales.
Maybe, and there's big transfer talk coming out of the next two, so we can get onto that later. But but on the flip side, I thought Preston were quite poor actually, because normally Preston are a very difficult team to beat, as we all know, but they've had a hell of a week of Preston. You've seen Stuart McCall's body language on the sideline in the dugout. I thought he was just wanting to get the ground to open up and swallow him. But I'm sure Preston will bounce back. They do tend to have that bounce back ability under Higginbottom and McCall, so hopefully they will bounce back and get back to winning ways or drawing ways, as I want now, for obvious reasons. Sorry, Preston fans, but yeah, I would just like a draw or a complete loss until May. That would be handy. Yeah, and
I like that. Everybody around us just draw against each other while Wrexham keep winning. That would be lovely.
But all in all, it was a very good day for Middlesbrough. We're right back in the hunt for the top spot with the Cov not playing until tomorrow evening, so that'll be a really interesting game tomorrow night, the Coventry game, to see if they can reclaim their 6-point lead, because what is it now? It's down to 3, so it's very tight. This league ain't over. Not by a long shot.
No, absolutely not. Let's move on to events at Bramall Lane. So this is the other, when I mentioned a said result we weren't going to spoil, or I wasn't trying not to spoil earlier, it was this one. And to be fair, here's something I am going to say here, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Chris Wilder and his team deserve a massive amount of credit for this result. Sheffield United 3, Ipswich Town 1. I know, Annie, I can't believe I've said those words either.
Words I never thought I'd be hearing.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, I stand by that last season, apart from when they beat us at Bramall Lane, and I still stand by that was a very lucky win, but my criticism of Chris Wilder is that he hasn't tended to beat anyone near the top most times than not. But I'm not going to deny him credit for this one, because this is a great win. Beating Ipswich at home, and I can only imagine that this result, maybe I was going to say Ben Hamer, that's not right. Gustavo Hamer and Callum O'Hare maybe decided they took Coventry's promotion form personally because they wanted to do them a favour by beating Ipswich. So maybe they're like, oh, hang on, Coventry's not playing, so let's give them a bit of a boost ahead of their game against Norwich on Monday. But yeah, I've got to say, first and foremost,
What
And
a
in fact,
ball from Hamer for that first goal as well by Louis Michael. Sorry,
yes, I agree.
Pass.
This is the thing with Hamer because he's got the ability to do that regularly. The problem is his injury record. He's not been known for being fit regularly enough, and it's probably why he hasn't been able to find someone that's higher in the pecking order than Sheffield United. But that's not Sheffield United's problem. If they keep him, I've said it before, and I still wouldn't bet against, as long as they keep the likes of Hamer fit and as long as they keep themselves together. I'm not ruling out Sheffield United pushing towards the playoffs. I'm not saying they'll finish there, but I wouldn't rule out them competing for sixth spot. Now, I know Stephan's going to be going, please no, can they stay behind and just let Wrexham take it? So that would be lovely. But, sorry, Andy, but what I was going to say was, yes, I think this is a fantastic win for Sheffield United. And equally, and I didn't know this until a friend of mine who was a Coventry fan, funny enough, said this, apparently Ipswich aren't that great away from home. Now, I need to double check that to make sure I've got that right. But if that's wrong...
Sorry, Michael, they've won 7 in a row at Portman Road, but their away form is, to be fair, like pretty much the whole division, apart from Derby, I think, and Hull, the rest of the division is also pretty crap away from home. But yeah, Ipswich's home versus away form there is quite a gradient.
Yeah, but I would say as well, Sheffield United also, it should be a difficult place for pretty much any team. It's a year 2 parachute team. It's still full. The team they've got is still full of absolute quality all over. Really, like, you know, look at Michael Cooper, Tom Davis, Sidney Peck, Andre Brooks, Callum O'Hare, Gustavo Hamer, and of course Patrick Bamford. You know, just for good measure. By the way, I forgot about this. Patrick Bamford goes from hero to zero. He scores and decides, no, I fancy an early bath, and gets himself sent off. But sorry, Andy, right? To stop delaying, asking even more. Talk about this. But are we going down the route of how bad is this for Ipswich, or how good it is for Sheffield United, or a mixture of both?
I still think big picture wise for Ipswich, it's not an absolute disaster. I know Middlesbrough won, but I think Coventry and Middlesbrough play each other soon. So
I know the date. It's the 16th of February they play each other. So it's on a Monday night. It's in a few weeks.
Yeah. And Middlesbrough themselves, their next 3 look a bit horrible. They've got Norwich at home, who are performing really well at the minute. They've got Sheffield United away, the game that Ipswich have just lost.
Yeah.
And then they go to Cov. So it's not looking particularly nice for Middlesbrough. So potential drop points there, and then Ipswich can go and sort of reclaim it. But as you said, Michael, this is a difficult away game. So I wouldn't be too sort of worried. Obviously, Ipswich got a game in hand, but their February looks pretty nasty, as I've mentioned earlier. Sort of cluster of away games, twice at Wrexham, one at Pompey, I believe. So, yeah, they're Derby away in there as well, which is not easy. Watford away, so they've got a nice Feb to look forward to.
Straightforward, man. What are you on about?
I wouldn't be too concerned for Ipswich, but yeah, that's a brilliant win for Sheffield United, and there could have been more goals in this game. There's a couple of huge chances.
Great chances for both teams at 0-0.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. Because obviously year 2 parachute team versus year 1 parachute team. Just wonder if Chris Wilder's finally got Sheffield United moving. I know they lost their last 2 league games. Against Charlton, they were down to 9 men, and against Southampton, where they could have easily got something. But yeah, that's a big win at home against the team in the top 6, gunning for automatic promotion. That is a pretty big win for United.
Agreed, and I think I'm in agreement with you. I think Ipswich. I think the best thing for the automatic promotion race is to sort of assess, maybe come back in a month's time and sort of see how Ipswich have dealt with their congestion. I was going to say cluster FUCK of a fixture congestion. You could put it that way, and see how Middlesbrough get on in the next few games, because there are some pretty tricky ones in there. But no, I think I've said before with Sheffield United, I think if they can start to, I mean, they're 9 points off 6th place Wrexham at the minute. So I think, and obviously there is a game in hand in there, but who is that game in hand against, actually? Let me have a quick look. I don't know whether it's played in the next couple of weeks.
It's Oxford at home. Got called off. Yeah.
Oh, of course it did, yeah. Well, that's another thing is, the Sheffield United, as you say, Sheffield United have got Middlesbrough to come up as well. But you're looking next month. So obviously next weekend they have got, I think it's Millwall away. Yeah, Millwall away. Tricky game in itself. and then they've got home games against Oxford and Middlesbrough, trip to Portsmouth, a home game in the Steel City derby, which you Sheffield United, if you take out the fact it's a derby, you need to win if you want them to be pushing for the top 6. And obviously Coventry at home, so they do play Middlesbrough and Coventry at Bramall Lane in the next month. So if they get good results against them, then you never know. But yeah, no, great win for Sheffield United. Of course, Gustavo Hamer getting 2 assists, influential in it. And I'm just going to quickly mention my boy Jack Clarke, because finally when Ipswich shock gas horror play him in his natural position instead of shoehorning him in somewhere else in the Prem, he starts to deliver. Albeit, to be fair, Jaden Philogene been on fire, and obviously with Philogene injured, that's when Clarke obviously gets his opportunity to start games. So, but I know, Annie, that's the conundrums of a year-long parachute team in the.
No, I was shaking my head because we played them midweek, and I'm just reliving in my head the first Jack Clarke goal he scored. Where, you know, the one thing Jack Clarke's good at. What is he good at? Cutting in on his right foot from the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And what do we let him do very easily inside the box? Yeah.
The only thing I will say is if you're that damn good at the one thing, it's easier said than done to stop.
Yes, but yeah, didn't exactly.
But I know what you mean. If you're the opposition, it is frustrating. I know what you mean. If you're the opposition, it's frustrating. Right? Okay, Briss. Okay, City. Don't let Jack Clarke come in on the left-hand side and score. Oh look, Jack Clarke comes in on the left-hand side and scores. What a shock! But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's Jack Clarke at this level is just a different level. But anyway, look, yeah, you're right. I think with Ipswich, if Ipswich are going to claim second spot, which I still would fancy them to do across the course of the season, they're going to have to start sorting out the away form a little bit. And actually, I forgot to mention, you said I think it was Derby and Hull away from home. Got to add Coventry in there. Coventry, obviously, away from home have been getting some really good wins, hence why they wouldn't have had 58 points otherwise. But yeah, I know what you mean. In general, there doesn't seem to be many away wins across the division. But nevertheless, don't take it away from Sheffield United. If they're wanting to push for top 6, which I still believe should be the aim for their squad, then a win like yesterday certainly will not do them any harm whatsoever. And if we're going to talk about Ipswich in top 2, we have to be fair. We have to put Hull City in this conversation because they're on the same amount of points as Ipswich, which is not something at the start of the season I bet Hull fans would have realistically expected. And just to credit Hull, like we said recently, they've beaten who did they beat? They beat Southampton twice. They've beaten Sheffield United at home. I can't remember if they've beaten Leicester or not. They might have done. Maybe one of you fact check that if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong there, but yeah, 2-1 win over Swansea yesterday. So Stephan, yeah, I mean, Ollie McBurney, of course, Ollie McBurney scores a penalty against his old club. Then is it Wigan Slater? I think it's Wigan Slater. Let me quickly double check this.
Yep.
We can say, yeah, that's it. I'm shit with names. But anyway, we can say, of course, they put Hull 2-0 up at half time. And then obviously in the second half, they Swansea make it a little bit more nervy than Hull would like, with Liam Cullen, of course, getting a goal with about half an hour to go. But of course, they couldn't find an equaliser. Got to start probably giving Hull a bit of respect here, because obviously Ipswich are also on 50 points. Hull are on the same amount. If Ipswich are in an automatic promotion race, then as of right now, there's no reason to say that Hull, even if we don't think Hull will finish there, mathematically they're in a race.
Oh, we're most definitely in the race right now. And like I've been saying for the last few weeks, the transfer window's in full flow. So the end of January, the very beginning of February, I think the deadline's on the 2nd of February at 11 p.m. for English
It's 7
clubs.
p.m, I think, but I could be
7
wrong.
p.m. I always get confused because they always change the windows.
Yeah.
No, so I always get confused. But regardless of when the deadline is, it'll be very interesting to see who Hull brings in to strengthen up their squad for the final push, because I reckon if Hull can keep their main squad fit, if they keep playing like they are and grounding out the results, sometimes you don't have to play pretty. If you win ugly and still get 3 points, that's good enough. But Hull are most definitely in the race for a promotion spot. There's no shadow of a doubt about that. And I'm as surprised as you guys at where Hull is right now. But who knows what's going to happen, because this league is just so unpredictable. I could easily see Hull being in the playoffs.
Well, just to add to that, they're 7 points clear of 7th place at the moment. And I think as well, but you got to look at. Actually, I didn't even know this. I'm just looking at the table now. They've scored more than they scored more than one more than Middlesbrough, and they've only scored one less than Ipswich, a year one parachute team with the quality that they've got. So I think Hull really do have to get credit here, and I think that after last season, I've mentioned this before, but after last season, I think that, and especially with how, although obviously Ruben Sayers kept them up, I thought I thought the owner was nuts to sack him, to be honest. But I mean, fair play. He can probably stick 2 fingers up at me and go, well, then that's why I'm not in charge of a football club. Because is it Yakirovic?
Yeah.
Again, why does everyone have such unpronounceable names? But yeah, like Yakirovic. I mean, what a job he's doing. And I think to keep. I mean, even if Hull get into the playoffs, I think it's still a fantastic season. I think Hull fans would agree with that. It's an amazing season for them to get in the playoffs, and there's no reason why they can't get into them when they've got a 7-point cushion over 7th place.
Well, realistically, next week it could be a 10-point cushion because they're away to struggling Blackburn Rovers. So realistically, it could be a 10-point cushion over 7th place if results go in Hull's favour next week.
I mean, I suppose Watford could say hold our beer because they didn't win at Blackburn yesterday. But yeah, that's the type. It's the championships. It's so championshipy that I wouldn't be surprised if Blackburn beat Hull next week. The league is just that ridiculous. But I want to quickly ask Annie's opinion on Swansea. What do you reckon for this?
Yeah, the trend of they're very, very good at home, and they're crap away continues. That's also the case for Swansea. They've improved a lot under Vito Matos, that's for sure. I think they're a much sort of well-organised team, and I do think we're starting to see. I don't want to say I told you so, but I think we're getting close to see the squad is actually pretty decent, and it just needed a little bit of direction. You've got a bit Potnick in there who's scoring goals. Should have scored a couple. Yesterday missed a couple good chances from what I can remember. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned if I was Swansea. That's a really good performance. So they rocked up to Coventry the other week, and lost the game, but put in a very decent, very respectable performance there as well. So that's, you know what, it's fine. I think if Swansea, the aim was, and when they got parted ways with Alan Sheehan, it was just about stabilising again and building up that squad, and I think they're doing that to a certain degree. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned if I was Swansea. Good performance, but ultimately just that lack of end result. I think they created an XG in the end of over about 2, and I know there's been a lot of talk with Hull and XG because apparently they're sort of down near the bottom of the division in terms of all the XG numbers and underlying data, but
XG outliers.
They're fourth, so who's actually that bothered in the end? Potential, for a predicted trend down, but they're not there at the minute. So you take it at face value, I guess. So brilliant from Hull, and I will mention Yu Hirakawa, who obviously signed on loan from Bristol City, and he's been brilliant. Apparently, first 2 games, and got an assist literally minutes after coming on against Preston on his debut, and he was, for all intents and purposes, brilliant again. So for Hull, from Hull perspective, the new signings are having a fantastic impact, and they're plugging holes in the squad. So what a job Yakirovic is doing. I mean, just hats off to him. I mean, arguably the best job in the division at the moment he's doing in terms of where he's got Hull compared to what I think most people had them down in the bottom of the division at the start of the season, their pre-season prediction. So what a job he's doing, and yeah, just fair play. I mean, I did not see this coming one bit.
Just as I've said for about the 100th time this season, don't listen. Hull City fans and Preston fans, I suppose, don't listen to me because again, I had you both to go down. So just casually sweep that under the rug. And I believe Annie did as well, just to throw him under the bus with me. But yeah, so got that right, didn't we? Let's move on to the team that is in 5th place. So we'll start with Stephan again. We'll start with Annie actually with this one. Millwall 4, Charlton 0. Obviously, I think Millwall on paper will have tougher games than this. Not saying this is an easy game, because no game's easy, but on paper they will have tougher fixtures. But you still have to go out and do the job. And a 4-0 win, okay, obviously 3 goals came in the last 10, 15 minutes, including added time. But it's still nevertheless an important win for them at the Den against Charlton.
4-0 win in a derby. I mean, good grief, this was brutal for Millwall. I mean, they were utterly ruthless. Could have scored about 6. Josh Coburn misses an unbelievable chance. Femi Aziz is just ridiculous, isn't he? I mean, what a brilliant player he's been for Millwall, and I think we all saw glimpses at Reading, and we thought, okay, this guy could make that step up and be a top championship player. And he's doing that at Millwall, where he's just been given the license and freedom, and he's been brilliant down that left hand side for Alex Neil. So yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. And yeah, I think the flip story, as much as this is an unbelievable win for Millwall, I think Charlton here, I mean, good grief. You rock up away from home in your second biggest game of the season on paper. It's a derby game away from home. I don't know. Is that more big? Is that bigger than the home game? Don't know. It's subjective, isn't it? But yeah, rock up a Nathan Jones team, and you play like that. You put that sort of performance in. I'm getting a little bit concerned about Charlton. Don't know about you guys, but that is. I appreciate Millwall are a top side for this division. There's a big disparity between the two sides at this moment in time. But the recent performance Charlton have been putting in, and the wins they've got recently as well. There's been no away wins in there, which is a concern in itself. Their away form has been shoddy. They went 2-0 up at Blackburn, didn't they? And they got drawn back to 2-2.
Yeah, they did.
And the wins they have got have been against a struggling Oxford, who sacked their manager after the game and have since improved a little bit.
9-man Sheffield United.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. 9-man Sheffield United. And before that the first red card happened, they could have been 2-0 down. Sheffield United missed 2 glorious opportunities in the first 15 minutes, sorry. And then obviously the win before that was against West Brom, who we know now were eventually going to go and sack Ryan Mason as their manager. And that only came in stoppage time. I mean, this is concerning for Charlton. This is really, really concerning. And Nathan Jones, after the game, made some odd comments. And I normally think
I've got
Nathan
them
Jones.
here, funny enough.
Yeah,
here's the comments from Nathan Jones, right? Sorry to interrupt, Yanni, but basically I just thought this interesting to say. So his comments were, they treated it as a derby, we treated it as a day in the sun. We got outworked, outbattled, they treated it like a derby, we treated it as a day in the sun, and we got exactly what we deserved. It's not how we work. We work hard. We work a press. We compete. We've had success from doing that. We've been bullied all over today. Millwall were excellent, but we were nowhere near their level. So yeah, basically, we didn't prepare to get bullied. We don't work like that. Second half, we were overrun, outworked on every single level. The words that are concerned to me are day in the treated like a day in the sun, outbullied, outworked for a Nathan Jones side.
Just one final point. He was asked about the fans after the game as well, and he said, "Oh, this must." I think the interview says something. I'm paraphrasing a lot here. He said something like, "Oh, this must be a tough day for the fans," and Nathan Jones literally just swiped it under the carpet and went, "Oh yeah, it was tough then, but I've had tougher days," and it's just gone. Well, odd response. That is an odd mentality. That weird response to a question. So, yeah, I think Nathan Jones has done a brilliant job at Charlton. Is he dining out on the start they had at the start of the season, where they were obviously fantastic, sort of in the playoff conversation at the start of the season? Definitely not in that conversation now. But this is seriously worrying from a Charlton perspective, and they are going to fight. I don't know. They're probably in a dogfight right now, and this is that was hapless. Yesterday, that was abject, pathetic. I mean, for Derby Day, the performance to put on a show like that, I don't use I don't try and use hyperboles and stuff like that. But that was embarrassing, I think, from a Charlton perspective.
And as well, I think I'm looking at their fixtures coming up too. And I've said all along that I still feel Charlton's home form, and part of me does believe Charlton's home form can definitely keep them up. But when I'm looking at it, they slid down the table, and and I don't like to change narratives all the time because it's something that annoys me, so I try to avoid doing it myself. But I'm not gonna lie, I mean, they're 3 points off the relegation zone, and I'm thinking Oxford just got a big win yesterday. Blackburn, of course, got what you could say is a creditable, but we'll talk about Blackburn Watford in a bit, but I think that's not a bad point for Blackburn. Portsmouth obviously got a point against their dearest rivals. Norwich are starting to really put some good form. Can they stay up? Yes. I don't know what you think, Stephan. For me, as good as it is for Millwall and as good a great job as Alex Neil's doing, I think for Charlton, it is getting a little bit worrying. And especially when I'm looking at their fixtures coming up, they've got Leicester away, who've just sacked Cifuentes. Then they've got QPR at home. I think for me is a huge. QPR at home is a huge one. Stoke at home. Okay, Stoke obviously. Well, actually QPR are doing all right. QPR aren't far off the playoff picture themselves. Stoke are in the same picture as well. The crucial one I'm looking at next month is Portsmouth at the Valley. If that's not the definition of a 6-pointer, I don't know what is. And obviously Southampton and West Brom away, and then of course your boys Wrexham at the end of next month. So, what's your feelings on Charlton at the moment?
I mean, I've just looked at the table, and everyone in and around them, it's very, very tight. So if they don't string wins together, we're going to be in a relegation dogfight, I'm afraid. Now, yes, do you think they'll stay up? Yes, but it's going to be very, very close. My feelings are that the comments made from Nathan Jones yesterday were very out of character for him, actually. Very, very out of character for Nathan Jones. Because normally a Nathan Jones team has some sort of backbone, but I didn't see any of that yesterday. I just seen a team that slowly just capitulated through the whole game, and I totally agree with Annie. I'm worried for Charlton that we're going to be going straight back down to League One, unfortunately, because they're on a very slippery slide, and it doesn't get any easier.
Definitely not. And I think I suppose when you look at the scoreline as well, one last thing before we move on to the next game, I think there was 1-0. Okay, performance wasn't very good, but it was 1-0 for most of the game. Yeah. Then it went 2-0, then to 3, then to 4 very quickly. And I think that's where, and yes, I do get it that obviously Charlton would have had to press Millwall to try and get back in the game, but to concede 3 in the last 15 minutes is very poor. So I think it's one where, I mean, like I'm just looking at their home games for the rest of the season, for example, right? And I think at home they've got QPR, Stoke, Portsmouth, Wrexham, Birmingham, Norwich, Bristol City, Preston, Ipswich, Hull.
That's horrible.
That is some. And don't get it wrong. What can save them, I think, is, as Annie said, apart from obviously your Derbys and your Hulls and your Coventries, etc., there really isn't that many away wins in the Championship this season. So, but I'll get the impression, I think, what Charlton on 32 points now. I think they need to get, if they're not going to get anything away, they need at least, for me, 5 wins at home in the remaining games to give themselves a solid chance. Or you could even say 4 wins, but you can't afford to lose many, if any, at all. So I think but there are some tough ones in there. There are a lot of teams that are within the top reaches of the Championship. So yeah, this is where I think the stereotypical characteristics of a Nathan Jones team is going to have to come on display here more than ever.
So if we get 4 wins, that'll take them on to 43 points, because 3 4s are 12.
44 points.
I would say you would at least need, paraphrasing you, Michael, but 50 points to maybe even stay up the season.
I rephrase that. 4 wins, but you have to have a handful of draws across the rest of your games as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can't just have 4 wins and then lose the rest of them, because that won't be enough in my opinion.
I was just going to say, in their last 13 games, I think it is, they've picked up 9 points. Might be 12 games, but since they beat West Brom, so after that game, round 14, after that game, they have picked up 9 points. So whether that's 13 or whether that's 12, whatever it is, I think it's 13. That is abject relegation form. That is well under a point per game, and that's nowhere near good enough. So no wonder they've slid down the table at a steadfast rate that they have.
So they've played 28, they've won 8, drawn 8, lost 12, goals for 27, goals against 38, a goal difference of minus 11. That is worrying form in this championship season.
Yeah. I'm like, my gut feeling on Charlton is still that they will be fine, but it's mainly because of Nathan Jones. But I'm not gonna lie, the comment Annie read out a minute ago, like that's stuck with me a bit actually. So going, oh, I've had tougher days. Like, mate, it's a big game for Charlton. Like, you can't just go and brush it off when you've just lost to Millwall 4-0. Like, that is pretty poor. And especially when what he said on at least what the BBC Match Report said about being outworked and being outbullied, that's not what you associate with a Nathan Jones team, whether it's home or away. But look, not to take it away from Millwall, though, just to quickly give one last word to them. I think, obviously, Millwall, again, 1 point behind Ipswich and Hull. Obviously, both of them have a game in hand, but still. I think, obviously, Annie well knows my feelings on Alex Neil, but taking that aside, he's a very good top-end championship manager. He knows how to get teams sorted. And I think, just quickly, Millwall look like they could be in advanced talks to sign Sunderland goalkeeper Anthony Patterson. And I think that would be if that happens, that is a very solid signing. I'm not surprised because Patterson was was in goal for Sunderland when Alex Neil when we got promoted from League One, and I think that would be and I think it's quite clear now that Alex Patterson, that makes no sense. Anthony Patterson is not going to be starting at Sunderland while Robin Roos is fit, and I think we're in talks with a Mönchengladbach keeper that Leicester apparently were after in the summer. We could be getting him to sort of basically replace Pat Hall, but I think Anthony Patterson's a very top-end championship keeper. If you look at some of the, if you two remember the championship playoff final, that save he made from Kiefer Moore after 2 minutes is one of the best saves I've seen a keeper make. It's ridiculous. So I think if he can get a good amount of form back, Anthony Patterson, I think Millwall sense, like with a lot of clubs that are non-parachute clubs, I think Millwall sense this is their chance to go for it. And we'll see how it happens with that. But certainly a 4-0 win, despite Charlton's form, a 4-0 win will certainly not do any harm whatsoever.
Can you tell that to Bristol City, please? That there's a chance to do something. So can you ring our board, please, for that?
Well, if you want to believe, if I'll refer to the report you sent in the group chat on Twitter while we were doing this, we'll refer to that at the end.
That was an
opinion
piece.
I mean, sorry.
No, not. Yeah.
Sorry.
I sent it as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment as well.
Okay. Long story short, basically, Annie sent an opinion piece from someone who wrote into whatever the Bristol sort of retitle newspaper is, whether it's the Bristol Echo or Bristol, I don't know, whatever it is. But anyway, no, I can't remember what the title of the publication is. But basically, it was someone saying their opinion is they should be going for Chris Rigg on loan. Now, if they manage, to be fair, if you manage that, I think that'd be excellent. I think that'd be a really good signing. How likely it is, I don't know. But
have they found a spare like 5 million in the back of the sofa or something? God.
What, 5 million loan fee? That's expensive, isn't it?
I was making stuff up, Mike.
Yeah. Well, we also see. Well, yeah. Well, we'll talk about you guys later on. Trust Annie when Bristol City win on a weekend and he manages to find a way to be very negative and annoyed about it. That's the Annie we know and love. But hey ho, right. So let's move on from Millwall 4, Charlton 0. Where shall we go to next? I tell you what then. We mentioned this scoreline earlier, sort of, but let's go with it. Blackburn 1, Oxford 1. So Annie, I'll start with you. Actually, sorry, I'll start with Stephan. I haven't started with him yet. Sorry, mate. I'm not neglecting you. I'm just trying to.
It's all right.
Yeah, but there was. Yeah, so it looks like basically not much has seen goal scoring wise. Not much happened apart from a 2-minute spell where Watford, of course, took the lead from Kayambe, and then Miller equalised literally a couple of minutes later. So I think I saw a Watford fan put on social media about, are we allergic to beaten relegation threatened sides? And I did think that was quite funny. I would suggest that it's disappointing for Watford, but it's a solid point for Blackburn. Would that be fair?
I would so agree with that. Blackburn needed to get some sort of result against Watford. Yeah, they'll feel aggrieved within themselves that they didn't play better than they actually did and try and get the 3 points. But I think if you're of a Blackburn persuasion, the point yesterday against Watford would be a very welcome point However, as we've just been saying, you guys also do need to start getting some positive results on the board and some W's, because if not, you're going to be on the slippery slope too. But I think a few draws and a few wins, you guys should be okay, even though there's been a few, let's just say, minor protests against Venky's ownership of Blackburn, but I'm sure that's a story for another day. We'll just see how that one plays out over the coming weeks and months as well. But I believe that Blackburn will have the mentality and will be strong enough to stay up.
I was about to say, when you were going about wins and what results in the win persuasion, I was going to go, Stephan, what do you mean? We only need probably another 7 points to stay in the Premier League. So I think if we can get a few in the draw persuasion, we're all right. But yeah, obviously, I realised I thought you were talking about Bristol City for a minute there for some reason. I was like, what is he talking about, Bristol City? Oh, Blackburn, okay.
Yeah, Blackburn.
Yeah, my brain's just not working at all. Annie, what's your thoughts on this? So I like I said, I think obviously for Watford, how they've been under Javi Garcia, obviously they'll be disappointed with this. But I would say Blackburn should be reasonably content with that result.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with the second part of that. I regret it. It's a weird one because Watford have had now a couple of draws. One at the Vicarage Road against Pompey, where you're looking at it and going, if you really want to sort of hammer down the top six door or really push in there and make a place for yourself in there,
Yeah,
we should be winning against that, and the mentality. It's a bit harsh, but you know what I mean. You go 1-0 up away from home and you concede straight after that. It's a bit come on, just hold out for 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Just stay in the game, even if you have to sort of absorb a bit of pressure. Just stay in the game and make sure you don't concede. And to concede straight like that is it's not brilliant. I'm just gonna draw up Watford's last few results, and I'm gonna continue waffling about Javi Gracia. Look, he's clearly sort of improved Watford's sort of performances since Paolo Pezzolano went. But I think there's still that element of frustration that the last 3 games, so the 1-1 against Blackburn, the 1-1 against Pompey, and the 2-0 against Millwall, where Millwall were by far the better team. It's just games like that where you go, there's enough quality in that squad, in that Watford squad, in my opinion, to go and I think Watford fans are the opinion of this as well, to go and sort of win that game, even if it's a coin flip game, if it's a tight game, go and win it. Because you've got Loser, Chak Vedatsa, I don't know if they fit, but Bar, Iran Kunda, Kiramgard to go and, win those games like that. And then you've got obviously the experience of a Musa Sissoko, a Imran Loser. I'm trying to think. You've got a nice mix there, I think, for Watford. Just so I think that's a frustration. That the games that at home, in particular Wednesday, they didn't beat Sheffield Wednesday at home, did they? And they didn't obviously beat Pompey at home, and they haven't beat Blackburn either. So it's just games like that where don't know should be winning, but could easily be winning.
needs to be winning.
They need to be winning if you're uber serious about a top six finish, and they unfortunately just haven't been able to get over the line recently.
Well, their next game is Swansea at home. So obviously we'll see how that one goes. But as I've said before, with quite a few teams, and with pretty much all of the bloody championship, it applies. But they've also got Hull away after that, Southampton away, and then Preston away. So announce Watford getting 3 wins from 3 in those games probably, and then not beating whoever's down mid-table or down the bottom, because that tends to be how a lot of championship teams roll. So just very quickly, they made it. What was the name of the player they signed in midweek that had a lot of hype around it? Bouvet, that's
Eduardo.
Eduardo Bouvet, free agent after leaving Roma. So obviously there was a lot of excitement around that. So let's see how that signing pans out. If he is that hyped, then fair play to Watford for getting him in the championship. But yeah, so we're moving on to the next game. So let's go with St Andrews. So we will have helping of Birmingham 1, Stoke City 1. Stephan, what do you make of this one?
A pretty even game, really, to be honest. And I think if we're going on teams that would be happier with the point, I think it would be probably
Stoke, probably.
Birmingham and Stoke a little bit as well, but I would say definitely Birmingham for the rocky patch that we've had. Yes, they've had a few wins, but we've also had a few rather surprising results, let's just say, because at the start of the season, I think if you're a championship regular, you would have had Birmingham pretty much as a home banker to be in and around the playoff or automatic promotion spots with their takeover, with all the money that they spent, getting the signings in, but it's just not panned out for them that way. And when you are playing a team like Stoke, and no disrespect to Stoke, because they've done absolutely brilliantly this season, let's not take that away from them, but at home, the fans, I'm sure, would have expected all 3 points yesterday, and it just didn't come to pass.
I would say personally, I would say Stoke would probably be the happier of the two of them, just because Birmingham away is a tough game.
Yeah.
I think it is a hard game, and I'm just, if the stats are anything to go by. Obviously, I didn't watch the full 90 minutes, so obviously there is that context there. But if I'm looking at the stats again, if you want to make how much you want to make of XG, I don't know. Birmingham's was 1.87, Stokes was 0.33. Birmingham had 18 shots to Stokes 7, and then 5 on target to Stokes 1. 35 touches in the opposition box compared to Stokes 15. So again, I want to caveat that by saying because it's you can manipulate stats whatever way you want.
Yeah.
So obviously there is that caveat, but I would say for Stoke, I don't think that is a bad point personally, especially after going 1-0
No,
down and your equaliser was
definitely
through.
not.
Equaliser was through an own goal. I don't think it's a bad point for Birmingham either, truth be told. I think it's a reasonable point for both sides, but I just personally think that Stoke would be the more content with the point, I think. But I mean, I do take your point. I think certainly that, and obviously Stoke aren't a bad team. Mark Robbins has got
No,
them. Mark Robbins, of course, is a very good manager. He's got them
don't get me
performing at a
wrong.
better level than they have been recently. But and that's just my opinion. I think Stoke would be slightly happier with Birmingham.
Don't get me wrong, taking nothing away from Stoke, they've been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, if you're going by stats and probably XG and all that, Stoke would be the happier. But I just think because of all the hype it was in and around Birmingham to begin with, they were going to make this big push, blah, 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 whatever, to reach the Premier League within 1 or 2 seasons at most. And let's be honest, this season it's not really worked out for them. And I bet they'll be kicking themselves in the teeth because they'll think, oh, teams like Stoke, your Swanseas, your Coventry's, for want of a better word, we should be going out and absolutely putting these teams to the sword with the talent that we've got on the park. So if any team can go to St Andrews and get a point, fair play to them. Absolutely fair play to them.
And you got anything to add on it?
So more of, Birmingham are another one of the teams that have been terrible away from home, but have been very, very good. St Andrews, I think they've just lost the one game at home since October, where they lost at home to Hull 3-2 and haven't lost since. Might have been one loss whole season at home, and I can't remember, but that's a good point for Stoke. We're 1-0 down in that game, didn't they? So
yes, they were.
that's a decent point. For I think most teams going to St Andrews, that's not a bad point if they can get out there with something. So I think both teams were relatively content, but Birmingham have just had a little splurge recently of points. So take the point, move on, I guess.
Yeah, I would say with Birmingham, I think again, these are the type of games I think they would probably want to be winning if they're wanting to be maintaining a playoff push. But again, like how many times I swear you might as well put a pound in a jar every time I say this season. But of how tight the league is when they're 5 points off sixth, you think if you're Birmingham, you probably think, especially with how ambitious we know them to be or their ownership to be, you kind of go and kick on and try and get a really good win and run together. And obviously look, I've got no doubt they have been decent this season, but I just think 1-0 up at home, especially when, again, I want to reiterate this, if the stats are accurate and it reflects the overall performance, then it looks like Birmingham was some way the better side. But I don't know. Like I said, but announce them winning their next 5 games, then I'll look like a tit. So we'll see.
Look at the money they've spent already, Michael. I mean, they've spent somewhere north of 7 million quid, I think, around that, for August Prisk from some team in Scandinavia. Can't quite remember. They've brought in Ibrahim Osman on loan, who was quite highly rated from Brighton. They've signed Kai Wagner from over across the pond. So yeah, they're going for it again, and they're backing Chris Davies for sure. So they're not settling for mid-table and keep going and keep building incrementally. They want promotion soon. Whether or not they're capable of it, and well, on the evidence of this season so far, no. But will they get better? Possibly, and you'd hope for a Blues perspective they do, because quite like Chris Davies. Think he's a good manager. Think he's handled all of that sort of external noise created around Birmingham and the owners and the money spent quite well. And I think he's quite a relaxed, sort of down to earth kind of character who's sort of dealt with that nicely. So yeah, I'd quite like to see Birmingham, particularly Chris Davies, improve that and turn that sort of ship around.
To be fair, I will say for Birmingham, and I suppose to an extent for Stoke as well, often in the playoffs, in the playoff race, as Annie in particular will know, but both will know about this, there tends to be one team that sometimes it tends to be a team that's around the mid-table area, that maybe for 2/3 of the season are kind of hovering around there, and then suddenly spike an upsurge in form and end up in the top 6. And I think Birmingham have the capability to do it, but we'll see. But then again, like I said, with how close the league is, I think you could argue that about anybody that's kind of down towards 15th, even, to be totally honest.
The problem with having such a tight league is you have so much traffic, you have so much to push through. It's like,
I know what you mean.
It's like dropping something in Jello, you know. It's like and wanting that thing to push itself out on its own. It could do it. I don't know what. This is a horrible analogy. What am I talking about? But it's like pushing. It's trying to push through Jello. You can do it. There's quite a lot to get through. This is why I talked about Jello.
No, I get the point you're making. I do get the point you're making.
It's quite hard to jump, even if the points gap is not that big. It's just hard to push through all of those teams because they're thinking the exact same thing, and it's not like everyone else is going to start magically losing. They're going to play each other. Teams are going to play each other because of the number of teams that are in a sort of congested league. So yeah, look, I think Birmingham have the capability to do it. I think Birmingham have the quality to do it. I think Birmingham got the perfect manager to do it in Chris Davies. I do. I think he's a very good manager. But yeah, doing it is a completely different thing, and that they need to navigate that better. They need to navigate it well if they're to get in there. You've certainly got to be within. When I say touching distance, I mean really, really close. Really close. Under really 1.5 games. You want to be there. So yeah, it's look, not panic stations at all. But if you're looking at a team going from mid-table to try and sneak in there, you're gonna have to be within touching distance for sure.
I would say probably if you're here and 6th place is here, you could climb up to there reasonably, but then you've got like a team here, 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 a team here. That's basically the best way to sign a game. Yeah, maybe that analogy was going nowhere, but there you have it. But another team that's in that conversation, we'll go to Friday night's game, Derby County. Yeah, this had a frantic end of the game, didn't it? But yeah. So I'm going to only start with this one because obviously a certain Max O'Leary... Oh, sorry, no, hang on. Did he start? No, that's West Brom, sorry. Why am I looking at Derby's team? No, Max O'Leary started for West Brom on his debut, on his move from Bristol City. But yeah, of course, Chris Metham ended up stealing some headlines. But yeah, both goals, from what I can remember, I think both goals were quite scrappy, to say the least. Well, certainly the equaliser for West Brom was.
Yeah, the equaliser didn't even hit the net, did it? The first goal is all.
It was a goalkeeping mistake, wasn't it?
one way to describe it, it's an absolute howler. It's a shocker from Max. Look, he's been at Bristol City 18 years. I mean, he's been here since he was like a literal child. The guy's Bristol City through and through. City fan, so like that cannot be easy to make that transition just to jump to another team, And no disrespect to West Brom, he's probably got no real affiliation with Albion, anything like that. So that cannot be easy. New environment, so things you've been used to for the best part of 10 years for Max it can't be easy, but he's thrusted straight in. So what you expect to do as a professional footballer, but that clearly was not easy for Max. And I think he's a steady championship goalkeeper, Max O'Leary. I think he'll do a job for you. There were points last season, and remember, this guy played 48 games in our championship campaign, including both legs of the playoffs. So this guy was number one choice, first name on the team sheet, basically. And he was steady. There were moments where you went, what's going on? Remember QPR at home, where Paul Smith scored from the halfway line because Max decided to go on a safari and jog up to the halfway line. I think he's a good player, a steady championship player who will do a job for you, make the saves you want to make, probably not make them incredibly difficult ones. But this is an absolute clanger. He's dropped the ball here big time, and he's just dropped it straight to Patrick Aubameyang, who is one of the form strikers in the division, and it's given Albion a mountain to climb. And up until that point, West Brom looked in the game. They looked pretty solid. They looked like they were sort of building up ahead of steam. They conceded a stupid set piece, and they conceded from it. Like Derby's first shot of the game up to that point. That just about summed up West Brom up until then. But then after that, they kept going, didn't they? They kept going. They kept moving. They sort of kept pressing Derby, and they got a deserved equaliser. I'd say a fair result in the end from a West Brom perspective. And yeah, I know they just about got it over the line, Chris Metham. But I'd say that's a good point for West Brom, considering Derby where they are in the league at the moment, the recent form they've sort of been in. And obviously, West Brom have lost 10 away games in a row up until that point. 10. So that to get a point away from home in that manner at a side like Derby, who are very very sort of astute, solid game streetwise under John Eustace, I think that's not a bad point for Eric Ramsey to start moving things quickly, because the first two games have been nightmarish.
Yeah, I was going to come to Stephan on this actually, just quickly, because obviously Derby will be frustrated, of course, with being 1-0 up until the 95th minute. And in a game where, as Annie said, West Brom had lost 10 away games in a row before this. But I think in the nature of losing in the last minute of Middlesbrough, having got the energy to get back to 2-2 in that game, to then lose it, and then to get battered by relegation-threatened Norwich City. Well, obviously West Brom at the minute, but mathematically, of course, they're threatened by relegation. But I think hopefully for West Brom's sake, that will do their mentality the world of good to get an equaliser so late on, especially away at a decent side like Derby.
Yeah, I think it will do West Brom the world of good. It will certainly do Chris Mepham the world of good, even though it was probably one of the more scrappier goals he's scored in his career, because it wasn't definitively over the line. Our old friend Mr. VAR had to get involved just to double check.
Goal line technology, I think you mean.
Oh yeah, goal line technology, but it does sometimes come up as far. But the goal line technology had to get involved, sorry. And thankfully for Chris Mepham, it was allowed. It's the first point under the Eric Ramsey era at West Brom, so that'll give everybody a confidence booster. And I think Derby will be frustrated that we couldn't close this game out, but all in all, I think a point was a deserved result. And no way, I think Ant is in the building. I think. And
Okay.
he gave sexy foxes. Who is this, I wonder?
Right.
So
It ain't really. Well, this is Ant we're talking about. I mean, Annie have known him long enough, so we'll see if it's him
we
just
let
talking out of
him
his back. We'll see if he's going to come on here to drunk talk out of his backside, or whether he's come on here to actually talk about Leicester. But we shall see. And clearly, by Annie's reaction, I don't know whether Ant has sent something funny in one of our group chats or wherever else. Sorry, I'm actually just trying. I'm trying to catch up with the highlights of the next game we're going to talk about because I haven't had a chance to watch it.
I was just going to say as well, and it is transfer speculation from coming out of Derby. Bobby Clark could be subject to a £6 million bid from Celtic in Scotland. So
Okay.
Well,
he's
on
Bobby Clark
on
if
loan.
that comes off.
He's on loan at Derby, isn't he, from Salzburg? So
it's just
if someone
like I say, it is just all speculation until the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But if that's true, I think that'll be a good move for young Bobby to further enhance his career because he's played at Salzburg, he's on at Derby, so why not give yourself another club in your resume?
Why not? We shall see how that one pans out. Right, let's get to the last result before we talk about your two teams. Obviously, this was the game today. Now, I believe, Annie, you said you watched this game, so I'm going to have to come to you for this because neither me or Stephan watched this live. But of course, there was a small matter of the South Coast Derby. Now, it sounds quite sad, really, that we're talking about this third last because, Portsmouth are, 21st now, I think, with the draw. Southampton, obviously, are right down. I think it was in 15th. So, yeah, it's not quite what I was, in terms of the table, certainly from Southampton persuasion, it's not where you would hope it to be. But, yeah, so we obviously had a 1-1 draw between South Coast rivals Portsmouth and Southampton. Ibu Adams rescued a point for Portsmouth after Leo... Why does it look like it says Cienza?
Cienza. Leo Cienza.
Cienza.
This, I'm so glad Andy's on this. Right, okay. You take it away then. Portsmouth 1, Southampton 1.
Yeah, it felt like a Southampton game under Will Still, where that's a bit of a lie because Southampton didn't dominate, but they had two big chances. One went to who was it? Someone was put through 1-on-1 by Finn Azaz. Adam Armstrong was put 1-on-1 by Finn Azaz first half. When Pompey sort of huffed and puffed, they had a lot of the ball, didn't quite direct, but didn't quite create that big chance. Armstrong put 1-on-1, saved by Nicholas Schmid, and then there's another big chance, another big save from Nicholas Schmid. Connor Chaplin clears that away. I'd say Pompey were the better team, had a lot of the ball, similar to the game at St Mary's, where I don't know if you guys remember the game at St Mary's between these two.
I did watch it. Portsmouth were very good that day.
Yeah,
I'd say Pompey better team, but lacking that sort of final sort of cutting edge, and Segic and Chaplin and Bishop didn't quite sort of find the right. I think Stephan Ant wants to be added to the stream, which might be entertaining. Okay. It is actually him. Yeah. Sorry. What was I going to say? Didn't quite sort of link up properly with particularly Chaplin. I thought could have occupied some better positions. Could have obviously done some more things. I thought Milanik Ali was quite good down the left hand side. The new signing, Ebu Adams was brilliant. What a brilliant signing he's proving to be, and he scores the equaliser. And then second half, Leo Cienza is put through on goal, and all happens because Andre Dazal just completely misses, sort of screws up the offside line where he's the last player back and everyone else is about 5 yards in front of him. It's awful defending from Dazal, and he's at fault there for not sort of following everyone else in the offside trap. Leo Cienza's put through on goal, finishes it nicely, and then runs all the way along the length, the strip of the Fratton Park pitch, sort of next to the Pompey fans, giving it the big cup to the ears and taking the mickey a little bit, and then dances in front of the away end as well. That would have spurred on those Pompey players, and I thought they reacted quite well actually, and got, I think, a pretty deserved equaliser. And then the set piece. Set piece does it for Pompey. don't know if Ant's trying to say something. But yeah, it's a good set play from Pompey. Put pressure on Daniel Peretz, and Ibu Adams just puts it in. So yeah, I'd say good point for Pompey, considering they were 1-0 down and managed to claw that back. But Southampton, I think the first half chances, the fact they didn't take them, will be kicking themselves. They didn't quite go on and win the game.
Right, as you can see, Ant has decided to join us. Now, I don't know if he's drunk. I don't know whether he's sober. I don't know what state he's in. But we'll try and see if we can get something out of him anyway. Are you doing all right?
I hope I'm sober, considering I've just driven home. So,
okay, well that's a good thing. Yeah, if you were drunk and driving home, I think you wouldn't be us you'd be talking to. It'd be the police probably. But yes, so and I love the name you put it on, Andy King, Sexy Foxes. Right. Well, yeah, we actually talked about Leicester at the very start, but obviously we'll ask you your opinion on the. Well, I guess in your words, it's going to be shit show, to put it kindly. What do you reckon about the Cifuentes sacking and the aftermath of it, and what comes next?
Should never have been appointed, was well out of his depth, but none of it's his fault. But he's got 11 players who'd rather be anywhere else. You could put Pep Guardiola in charge of his team. It doesn't change anything. So, I feel like it's the same players that have now got 4 managers sacked in 18 months. It's like, at what point do we stop saying, oh, this manager's not good enough, that manager's not good enough? It's like, how about the players actually put a bit of a shift in? Because I'm sorry, and I know I'm going to sound really arrogant here, the squad that we have got is better than the 14th best squad in the Championship. But these players just are not putting in the effort in. It says it all that our best player and the player that's working the hardest is Jordan James, and we don't even own him. We've got Harry Winks, who would rather be anywhere else, and on his day, Harry Winks is one of the best players in the Championship. Unfortunately, this season, his day seems to be February the 29th, and every other day doesn't seem to exist. Same for Mavididi. Honest to God, the talent is there, which is the frustrating thing. It's like, I want Andy King to be given the job to the end of the season, because the fans will not turn on Andy King. It's like, he's got such a legacy at the club. He's Mr. Leicester for a reason. He's won the Premier League with us. He's won the Championship. He's won League One. He's won everything there is to win with Leicester, and he's been a key part of all of it. If you think that the fans are going to turn on him before they turn on Harry Winks, who can't be asked, and Wout Faes, who's basically been saying he'd rather be anywhere else. Trust me, mate, me and you both, we would all rather you stay in Monaco. So hopefully that goes through too well and he doesn't put too much of a clown show up for the next 6 months and he can permanently stay there. But my frustration is that I think if this team were putting the effort in, then I don't want to say we'll be top 2, but we'll be comfortably in the playoffs. But this team just would rather be anywhere else. And it's like, but it says a lot that Oxford will not have an easier game this season than what they did against us, because all they had to do was battle more than us, and that was literally it. And the fact that we were 1-0 down within 5 minutes again, it's like, I believe that's the 6th time that's happened this season within the first 10 minutes. It's just not good enough. And yeah, Marty's probably going to get the blame, and obviously he's been sacked, but we'll probably bring in just as another clueless manager who's completely out of his depth. So, yeah, I don't actually think it solves anything. I really don't. I just think get rid of as many of these players as possible. But again, no one's going to want to buy Harry Winks when he's on 90 grand a week, which is a fucking joke, by the way.
So apart from that, all lovely.
But on a positive, they've brought the red Leicester sausage rolls back for to have before the game. No. See, there's always a silver lining.
And I bet if I said to you at the start of the season, your positive in the January transfer window is going to be the bloody sausage rolls in the catering department of Leicester City, I think you'd probably be clinically insane. I don't know what that's just embarrassing. But yeah. Oh, that's got me tickled. That's really funny. But
just think of the sausage rolls. There's always a silver lining. Always, however bad it is, there's always a silver lining.
We still have the sausage rolls. It's totally fine. Just make sure Steve Bruce isn't there, though, because he'll challenge you for them because he loves a sausage roll.
I'll take Steve Bruce as manager right now.
Trust me, mate, you wouldn't. You really wouldn't. You'd be unless he makes a meme of himself every press conference with "How's the bacon? Did you say?" But any equivalent of that every press conference, then at least he'd be comedy value.
I would rather a 60-year-old overweight Steve Bruce starting at centre back than half the pricks that we've got in our defence. So
there we go. Honestly, well, actually,
you've missed me, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. It is really funny. But that's the thing, where you keep on conveniently having a social life every time we try to talk about Leicester. And I can imagine you just going, yeah, well, but I can't exactly blame you given the shit show at the moment. What I was going to ask you was, because me and Annie talked about this earlier, and I think, Stephan, we all agreed on this. And you know the points deduction shit that's still somehow going on at the moment, right? If you guys get a points deduction, particularly if it's around the, I don't know how much, if there's any truth in this, if it's the 9-point region or it puts you close at the bottom 3, do you have faith that your players will have the stomach to keep you up? And I know that's and by the way, that's ultra depressing because ultimately that should not have been the conversation for you guys this season.
Well, our absolute knobhead of an owner who hasn't got a clue came out with an interview today where he was saying that the aim and the ambition is to get back up into a Premier League. And it was brought up of, oh, well, what happens if it doesn't happen this season? And he just came out with a throwaway comment, oh, well, we'll go again next year. And it's like, are you fucking dumb? 10 years ago, we were winning the Premier League and we're staring down the barrel of League One now. And it's, oh, we'll try again next year. Fuck off. Like, honestly, like, this squad, I can't even believe the fact that half of this team are like international players and we're talking about a League One relegation season. It's like, Jesus Christ, could it be any more depressing? But you know, the worrying thing is, we'll end up in League One and the same dickheads that got us there will end up with a bonus and a new position and a new title of like on the board of directors. So honestly, this is going to sound really bad. And I hope we don't get a points deduction. But at the same time, if we do, John Rudkin fully deserves it. And he deserves full credit for the absolute shit show that we are.
Wow. How dare you disrespect League One? Are you sure you don't want to go and win the Bristol Street Motors Virtu Papa John's Johnston Payne Checker Trade Trophy? Come on. You don't want a big day out at Wembley then. You don't want to play like AFC Wimbledon and, AFC Wimbledon and, I don't know, who else is there? Lincoln City in the league. Come on.
3 years ago, we were in a European fucking semi-final. What the fuck has happened to this football club? Like, Jesus Christ. I knew that those were the good times and sort of like, I didn't expect that to be the norm. But how the fuck are we back to square one where we were before King Power took over? It's like, oh, honest to God.
If it makes you feel well, I don't think it's going to make you feel slightly better, but I can sympathise with what you're saying because remember back in the summer of 2016, when Newcastle got relegated, thanks to us sending them down, and my screen score's going a bit funny there. No, obviously Newcastle got relegated thanks to Sunderland beating Everton, and then 3 years later, just 3 years after that, we were losing to Charlton Athletic in the fucking League One playoff final in the last second. So, like, yeah. Yeah, so I can totally sympathise with the situation of how you can go from here to here so very quickly. So yeah, it is shite.
I saw something on my Facebook this morning. How depressing is this? 9 years ago, I was on an away day in Porto. We just got 2-0 at home to Oxford.
Just as we were saying right at the start of the show, the Leicester fall from grace has been spectacular within the last decade. Absolutely spectacular.
It's depressing. It is really depressing, and we've still got dickheads in our fan base going, "Oh, well, it's the same ownership, but gave us for good times." No, it's fucking not. If my dad built a company and built it up to like a $1 billion company and did great things with it, that's nothing to do with me. Just because Top's been handed £1 billion empire because of the tragic circumstances he lost his dad in, and like, I do sympathise with him in that sense. The fact that he's been given something that he didn't want, but you are ruining everything that your dad built. It is looking very similar to when King Power very first took over. We're an absolute shit show, way too much money on bang average players, staring down the barrel of League One and looking at administration again. Well done, Cuntock. That's your legacy at Leicester. Fucking brilliant. Your dad would be proud.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can understand that. It's just not. And this is the thing. I don't know what you think, but among the Leicester fan base, and again, Stephan and Annie will relate to this, is when you're reaching a place of beyond that. Well, I don't know if Anne's at the apathy phase yet. I can't tell with half the time when he's joking or not in the group chat. So I'm trying to decipher what he's saying and trying to see if he's being serious or not. But I can imagine you're either at the anger stage or you're well past that and gone apathy to the point of this is laughably ridiculous. One of the two.
I left on 45 minutes yesterday. So that's everything, and I've never left a game in the first half before. I did get my sausage roll on the way out though, just in case you were concerned. But
so you were saying you left to try and beat the queue for sausage rolls, really, and then thought, "Oh, I've got my sausage roll. I might as well just leave the game."
Well, I'll tell you what it was. First half, we had 70% possession. We hadn't had one shot. And I'll tell you what, like the King Power used to be one of the loudest grounds and stuff, and like winning the league, you got loads of fans that sort of didn't care about Leicester. All of a sudden, Leicester fans, and then the success that followed that for a few years. So gradually, I think the atmosphere there's got worse, but also the shit on the pitch doesn't help it. And you could just hear a pin drop to the point where you could hear Cifuentes clapping like a seal on the side of a pitch every time that we made a fucking pass. And it's like this football in a library, watching shit football whilst we're being allayed by Oxford. It's like, if you want to know Cuntock's legacy at Leicester, it's that.
Do you know what it feels like to me, listening to Anne talk? And I think, again, Annie and Stephan will appreciate this. It feels like me during the 2017-18 championship season when Sunderland got relegated to League One. Like, that is... It literally feels like you could have a Leicester till I die now, and you could literally just have clips of Ant just going, well, on the positive, the sausage rolls are nice, but the football's fucking shit. So, one of the two. But, yeah, it's... You know, and I think... actually, I remember... And Ant might remember this. Do you remember when we were doing the streams together 2 years ago? It was on your channel, I think it was at the time. And I remember and obviously I made a joke about Sunderland competing for the playoffs. And then once we gone through the Michael Beale shit show, I went, right, how many more points do we need to avoid relegation? And I remember you laughing, going, that, and in a good way, going, that's how bad it's been, where you're going from, hey, playoffs, all right, can we stay up? And that literally feels like that sort of conversation is kind of like what should have been for Leicester at the start of the season, at least a top six finish, really. And then now all of a sudden it's like the talk of it's funny because the way you're saying it, but obviously it's a joke, the fact that League One's even being mentioned for you guys.
You know what, though? And this is going to sound really strange. If we do get relegated, there's half of me that's going to be fucking glad about it, because it's going to make the people like Rudkin and the people like Cuntock who want to sell the club make it absolutely valueless, because it's like, you've dragged this club through the mud now. I hope you can't fucking sell it. I hope it's absolutely going to be a burden for you. You have the opportunity to sell it before. You chose not to. I hope that, along with your King Power empire, that, by the way, he's absolutely crashed. And if you look at the value of King Power, has absolutely plummeted since he's taken charge, as has OH Leuven. There's a common denominator here, and it's the fact that Cuntock hasn't got a fucking clue.
Can you two tell he's needed to let this out for a while?
This is therapy for me. And it doesn't help, but that lot up the road look like they're going to stay up as well. They won.
What do you mean? Well, of course, Coventry are going to stay up, and they're on 58 points.
I couldn't give a fuck about that lot. Honest to God, could not give less of a fuck.
Yeah, right. Okay. Your group chat with us heavily says otherwise.
I will tell you something now. When Cov are the new Wolves next season, all their fans will have fucked off back to Man United, and they'll be getting 12k at home again.
Oh, God's sake. So this is going. This is depressing. Coventry City and Nottingham Forest in the Premier League next season. Well, we could be playing. Well, I was going to say Fleetwood Town, but they're in League Two. So there you go.
Northampton will be our local rivalry.
Sorry?
Northampton will be our local rivalry next year.
Leicester, Northampton. That sounds like a rugby game, let alone football.
I'll tell you what, though, the positive of Northampton away is you don't have to buy a ticket because you can stand on the hill.
Oh my god. And put it this way, if you get into League One, this is a depressing sentence for you. If you get into League One, you'll have the novelty of the first few months, and then you'll realise, oh, this is shit. It makes the Championship look like the Champions League, and all of a sudden, no, I don't like this league anymore. So, like, yeah.
Jesus, you know what's depressing? We're going to have gone, because next year will be 10 years from our Champions League run. So we will have gone from a Champions League quarter-final to fucking Fleetwood away. Like, has there ever been a decline in football as big as that?
Do you know what? I was going to put the Captain Pugwash theme, but it might get copyrighted, so I best not. But yeah, there you go, Ant. You can have that to look forward to potentially. Having listened to Captain Pugwash whenever they score. And spoiler,
you know what?
I've been there. It's not nice.
I'm really thinking next year I might just fuck Leicester off and just go and watch non-league. Like, honest to God, at least I can fucking shout at the players without getting RC emails from the club.
RC, wait, what? You've been getting emails for the club because you've been shouting at the players?
Yeah, I'll have to send you these later. But the club don't like me very much, and I don't know why.
How about a trip to Salford or Bromley or MK Dons or Cambridge or Walsall? There you go. That'll be a localish one for you.
Fuck me, the Poundland Stadium. Jesus Christ. Walsall's literally that stadium that you just look at when you drive past on any other away day saying, thank fuck we don't have to go there.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
I don't know whether Andrew or Stephan has been to Walsall away, but it's not good. I went to Walsall in our first League 1 year, and it's like, oh god, it's like that. It was that depressing moment. You go like, oh my god, this is actually the league we play in now. No disrespect. I don't know why there'd be a Walsall fan watching a Championship review, but there you go. So apologies if there is any Walsall fans.
There's no Walsall fans that even watch our own games. Have you seen the attendance when we played for the FA Cup? Like. It was 90% Leicester. And his reaction says everything.
Why are we talking about Walsall attendances?
One thing I will say is, if we get into League One next year, I am going to have the biggest piss boiling session every week, calling every club tin pot. And so actually,
you got to do that now.
Yeah, but
you pretty much do actually. Yeah.
But with small clubs like Walsall and clubs like that, I know that I'll get the bites from it.
Oh my god, your favourite, Rotherham. Rotherham might be there if they don't get relegated.
Yes, that's even better.
Yes. Oh, you know what? League One tour sounding all right here.
I think this is the acceptance part of the delusion part of the 5 stages of grief or whatever it's called.
I was going to say, what is it? Yeah, like, is that what is the 5 stages of grief? Is it like denial? Then it's like anger or something. Then it's depression. Then it's bargaining. Then acceptance or something. So I feel like to me feels like he's going through all 5 phases within the space of 10 minutes, and now he's gone to actually League One tour might be all right now.
Who's coming down with us then? So Leicester Wednesday.
Can I just say, by the way, and sorry to depress you, but if you're looking forward to a trip to Rotherham are 23rd in League One.
I was going to say, yeah.
You tin pot.
Well, there you go then. The 5 points adrift of safety. How bad does that sound? And it's going like, oh my god, we were playing in the bloody Champions League 10 years ago. Oh well, at least Rotherham could go down.
You know what's mad though? I haven't even started drinking yet.
Can we switch conversation back to the Championship instead of...
Right, let's finish these last 2 games. There you go. I don't know if Ant wants to stay to listen to Stephan and Annie talk about their teams winning, but one way or another. Right, let's go to Stephan, bless him, because...
my team won! Ooh, look at them. Fuck off.
Hey, it makes you. Hey, we lost it. We lost us yesterday, so I can't say now. Right, okay then. Right, Stephan. If you, it depends if you want me to come to you last or you want me to come to you now. But let's talk about Stephan because he's been blessed him. He's been waiting for a while. So let's talk about what was it? QPR 2, Wrexham 3, and the fantastic ending of the game, and about how much I no doubt you're going to say you love Ollie Rathbone.
Oh, what a result! What a result for the boys at Wrexham. Absolutely fantastic result.
Oh, just quickly, Ant looks like he's still there. Never mind. His camera's on. What a surprise!
I mean, when I was watching the game and QPR scored that wonder goal after 5.5 minutes, I thought, oh dear, I thought it's going to be another one of those away games. And then Callum Doyle pops up with the equaliser, which was a stunning goal.
Good boy, Callum.
And then QPR goes back in the lead through one of their old guard, let's just say, Mr. Hill. And then all hell broke loose in the 93rd and 94th minute when conveniently I missed the goals because I went to the bathroom. And I came back and they were 3-2 up. And I was like, what? I was like, what a goal from Josh Windass. The way he took that on the sort of volley was amazing. Then the goal in the 94th minute from Ollie Rathbone. What a hit. And it's fair to say, and Ant will know this because he's in our WhatsApp chat, Michael, it's fair to say that I was rather cock-a-hoop come 1 minute to 5 yesterday evening, and I'm still so cock-a-hoop that Ant has disappeared off the street.
Yeah, quite clearly.
And I'm still.
He's like, I've had my rant. Now, where's my sausage rolls?
I'm still pretty cock-up now, to be fair, because I actually never thought that Wrexham would be in this position. I thought that they would just be happy to consolidate, because that was the message coming out from the club last season, was to consolidate Championship and make a push. But then, to our great surprise, we seem to be clicking at just the right time.
Stephan, I'm going to say I'm on your podcast.
Annie, what do you reckon for this, for Wrexham? I mean, obviously, it was helped by the fact QPR obviously got a man sent off, but there wasn't that much time in the game, really, was there? At that point, it was like 2-1 down, going at the last, 7-8 minutes, including added time. But yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be one of the most frantic ends to a championship game I think you're probably going to see for quite some time with Wrexham, just scoring twice in stoppage time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing to see yesterday, and I think we can push on, and hopefully maintain our spot in the top 6. What's more to be said?
Go on then, Annie. What do you think?
I was going to just pick up on a point Stephan mentioned earlier where he said something about consolidating the championship. I reckon a £30 million plus spend in the summer might suggest otherwise in terms of consolidation. But look, that Wrexham squad is certainly, I think, good enough to be right near the top of the division. I think we all kind of appreciate they've got some unbelievably gifted players. Nathan Broadhead, Ben Sheaf, Lewis O'Brien, Kiefer Moore, etc. You know, players quality all over the pitch.
Well, he belongs as I'm like waiting to go.
But that winning mentality they've got for all those promotions they've had recently. If they can carry that along, the momentum they're going to build from this run recently, you've sort of broken that sort of psychological barrier of getting into the top 6. If you can go and maintain that form, as Stephan just mentioned, then you're laughing. So yeah, unbelievable from Wrexham, and yeah, despite QPR went down to 10 men, but as you mentioned, Michael, so late on in the game, it can be difficult to go make that count. If it was half an hour, even a whole half of playing against 10 men, yes, okay, got completely different. But it's so late, and sometimes teams take time to adjust to playing against 10. Wrexham did like that and scored twice within about a few minutes. So brilliant from them, and
and a stunning goal at the end to win it as well.
two brilliant goals at the end. Really, the Windass
Well,
goal
it's
is
not
the
the
Windass.
word.
9:31, Stephan got his
Yeah,
phone after his back in 9:36.
the Windass goal is brilliant, and obviously the
Thank you,
Rathbone goal from
podcast.
outside the box
Oh,
also is
yeah.
but yeah,
More people want to come line to reach into
they're a good
And,
team. Wrexham, well organised, hard to beat, and got goals in them. So it's sort of a perfect mix, and they've got going.
just off the comment.
yeah, and there could be more incomings at Wrexham in the not too distant future, let's just say. Apparently, and this is a pure rumour, but apparently Wrexham have made upwards, wait for this guys, of a £19 million bid
I've seen this. Yeah.
for Agger striker Siddiqui Sharif, and also they're in the market for Jan, what's his name from Sheffield Wednesday as well. So
Jan Valerie.
Jan Valerie.
yeah, Jan Valerie, that's it. If those two signings, well, even if one of them comes off, and I don't care which, it'll be another fantastic coup for Wrexham. I know that Jordan James, who is at Leicester, I know we were planning a move for him in the summer, last window, but that didn't materialise, and well done to Jordan for getting a championship move. But if one of those signings come off, or miraculously two, oh, what a squad it's going to be for the final push. And I don't think they're done yet. I think we'll still be.
We'll get to your
This
boys
is what
in a
we're
minute,
competing
Annie.
against, by the way. Christ.
I think there'll still be more transfer news to come out. Sorry, I need to kind of burst your Robin's bubble there.
Do you know what? I feel for Annie. I feel a little bit for Annie this season because he's had discussions with me and Carl, and we've been talking about Leeds and Sunderland spending 20 million on a player, 30 million on a player, and then Annie's going, and I'm listening to bloody Wrexham bidding 19 million pounds for a player, and then there's us selling was it Nametti to Ipswich for 3 million. But yeah, quickly for QPR, just to mention that, we'll brush off to the end. I mean, sorry, it feels a bit difficult. I'm just brushing over QPR, but I think there's context the fact they went down to 10 men. I think there was 2 stunning goals in stoppage time. I think obviously Wrexham are a good side. They got themselves into a good position. I think without the red card, they'd probably go on to at least get a point. But it's ifs, buts, maybes. You know, it is what it is. They're still within, 4 points of Wrexham. It's still way too tight to sort of call anything. Go on, Annie, you were going to say something there.
I think it's 1 win in 7 for QPR in the league, or maybe in all competitions, but it's not good form, and they're going on one of those normal QPR streaks of win loads.
I was going to say, don't they start
win loads,
and then they go mins, then go.
Yeah. They do something stupid like that every year. QPR.
Hey, Sid Wenters is on the market.
Yeah, they. I think good players, decent manager. Whether or not they're capable of pushing for the top 6, I'm a little bit more unsure, but I think they're a decent enough side. But yeah, that's just a kick in the gut, that, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on in the next game and how psychologically it can affect teams, because I've seen it with my my own team, Bristol City, where a few years ago now do you remember when Forest got promoted under Stevie Cooper? They came to Ashton Gate. We went 1-0 up in the 90th minute. We conceded twice in stoppage time, and just kicked us, knocked us for 6. That psychologically, I wonder how they'll do for QPR psychologically. And again, caveat with 10 men and stuff, but that's a real sucker on that. But yeah. 1 win in 7 in QPR. Streaky little QPR again. It's weird football club that. Shouldn't have said.
Are we just saying QPR are just doing a QPR?
They're just. Sorry, shouldn't have said little. I'll retract that. But streaky QPR.
I don't think you meant it in a condescending way. I think it's more just a weird way that it's phrased. I think more QPR fans will probably just say, "Well, we're just doing QPR things." To be totally honest, so I suspect anyone says that about their own club. Yeah.
Typical.
Anyway, let's move on to the. This is we're just doing insert your team name here things. just whichever team it is you support, pretty much. But right, let's move on to the last game. So Bristol City 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Before I let Annie talk about the win for Bristol City, obviously I know the caveat from his point of view will be it is Sheffield Wednesday. I think I just wanted to quickly mention the Barry Bannon stuff because obviously Barry Bannon, and you were there, Annie. I suppose you can tell me from a first hand. Well, I think you were there anyway. Apologies if you weren't.
Yeah,
but,
I was there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say that would have been awkward if you'd said no, you weren't there. But anyway, no. As someone who was there, I can imagine that the reception from the away end was Barry Bannon when he went up and specifically went and clapped the Sheffield Wednesday fans. Obviously, it looks like he could be on his way out to go to Millwall. I don't know whether that's him agreeing, or I don't know. Well, I think it sounds like he doesn't want to go, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's him trying to get money for the club. But who knows? It's Barry Bannon. I wouldn't actually be surprised. What I will say is the strength that man has shown to stick with Sheffield Wednesday under tumultuous circumstances and horrendous conditions with the way the club's been run. And obviously, look, Chansiri's officially gone, but they're still not out of the woods. Obviously, they're going to go down. We know that. But I think the reaction to the Sheffield Wednesday fans and his reaction from what I've seen on pictures on social media says quite a lot. But obviously, I've only seen pictures of social media and a clip or two. Whereas Annie, you were there. You'll be able to, before we talk about Bristol City, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, so Bannon, so the first thing I noticed was Jamal Lowe got subbed off sort of halfway through the second half. Not normal substitution. He specifically went up to Barry Bannon and gave him a big bear hug and then walked off the pitch. And then you saw going, right, that's him gone, in it, Bannon. And then Bannon gets taken off. Obviously, the whole away end erupts and, big sort of chance of Barry Bannon, chants about Bannon. Bristol City players go up to Barry Bannon and sort of start shaking his hand and sort of lauding him, which I found. I don't know if any of you guys are into cricket, but it's when a batsman makes a big score and the whole opposition team sort of clap him and give him a handshake as he walks off after he eventually gets out. It felt like one of those moments. And then, yeah, and obviously Ashton Gate, as all four corners, including the home fans, clapped and applauded Barry Bannon as he went off as well. So, yeah, it's a real strange one, actually. Never seen that for an opposition player before. And it's not like Barry Bannon's retiring or, anything like that. And he's leaving Sheffield Wednesday, but I think we can all appreciate as, people who followed the Championship this season and for a little while, what that man has done for Sheffield Wednesday is incredible. And then, yeah, the scenes at the end, I'm pretty sure every single one in that away end stayed right until the end, even at 2-0 down in stoppage time or whatever, when you'd be half tempted to leave. Every single one stayed till the death just to see Bannon off. And there was a whole line of Wednesday players and the squad and the staff lined up on the edge of the box, and Bannon was pushed to the front, and clearly see because Liam Palmer went up to him and sort of embraced him, another sort of incredibly senior figure over at Sheffield Wednesday, and you could see I could see from the other end of the stadium because he was getting emotional and he clearly struggled with that, and that must have been like so difficult for Barry Bannon. That and yeah, he's off after 10 years of service, and it is service to Sheffield Wednesday, and
yeah, absolutely
some incredible moments. I think there's some interesting sort of opinions about Barry Bannon floating about, because he's played for so long and he's been so good. But for a team event that have sort of been just meandering in mid-table, then there have been a couple of playoff finishes in there, yes, but generally been mid-table and or in League One, and now obviously leaving them on -7 points. But the guy's an absolute credit to Sheffield Wednesday and deserved every single one of the accolade he got from the home fans, Bristol City, and the away Sheffield Wednesday fans. Like just ridiculous. And credit to Sheffield Wednesday fans, they were unbelievable. -7 points, Sheffield to Bristol. That's like 4.5 hour journey on the road. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And to stick until the very end. There's so many of them as well, like 2,000 of them. Just brilliant from those Wednesday fans. Credit to that football club. And I just find it sad that Bannon's going to leave in that scenario where Sheffield Wednesday are in -7 points, all because of the. Yeah, I mean, he's gone now, Chansiri, but this is all on him, innit? This is all on him, and this is. Yeah, it's a bit sad to see that. I certainly wouldn't like a club legend like that who's given that many years of service to leave under that sort of cloud and that sort of a little bit of a stain on his record of he ultimately left the club in that scenario. I wouldn't like that per se, but you can't discredit everything else. I assume you want me to talk about the game.
Well, I'll just quickly say before you do. Sorry, no, just before we do. Obviously the 14th of February is going to be interesting because Sheffield Wednesday play Millwall at Hillsborough. So, obviously it'd be very weird if Barry Bannon does sort of come back and play against them, which is going to be, it's going to be weird seeing him at Hillsborough, but not in a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. The thing I would say is, from his point of view, I think, again, I've said I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't want to leave. Personally, I don't know Barry Bannon directly, obviously, but put it this way: even if it's a minimal transfer fee, and I'm talking like a smidgen of like even $100,000 or something or whatever it is, that could go a long way to helping Sheffield Wednesday in their situation. So that could be a way for him to still help potentially save the club, even when he's going somewhere else, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it's gone down. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I just wanted to get that in there before obviously you talk about the game and talk about Bristol City obviously beating Sheffield Wednesday. But yeah, go for it, Annie. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it was a weird game. I thought we weren't particularly at it for about 60 minutes. For the first 60 minutes, Sheffield Wednesday, if they obviously but some maybes, but if they had a little bit more quality in the final third, could have scored. We could have scored if we had a little bit more quality in the final third, which I will come on to as my main talking point, apart from this game. But yeah, we just, I think after 60 minutes, we were comfortable, scored the goal, and then never really looked through it after that. Sam Bell came on and made a big difference, and I'm so glad to see Sam Bell back and sort of back and firing. He looks a much better player from that loan at Wickham, and I'm so pleased for Sam. I mean, again, one of the Bristol through and through, Bristol boy, and then obviously a Bristol City fan as well, and he's just been fantastic, sort of servant as well, and it's been a bit of a shame to sort of see not delivering ultimately. That's the end. That's the goal at the end of the day. But yeah, brilliant to see him score. Scott Twine scores a goal as well. Comfortable enough for City. My main point is this transfer window, which has been nothing short of so far. What's the date today? 25th of January. I haven't got long to try and sign some players, and we're going to need some because otherwise this is not going to end well. You've just lost 8 players in this transfer window, Bristol City. You've lost Anis Mehmeti, who's your biggest output and your biggest goal threat, for £3 million to Ipswich, who you could say promotion rival. I'd say different stratosphere to Bristol, nowhere near us. That was proven in midweek. You've lost Max O'Leary, you've lost Hayden Roberts, you've lost a couple of academy players, you've lost Yu Hirakawa to Hull, who started fantastically well. You've lost a lot of your depth in that team. And in isolation, every single deal does make sense. In terms of Anis Mehmeti, 6 months left on the contract, it makes sense to cash in now if he didn't want to stay at the football club and was never had intention of signing a new contract. Fair enough, whatever, right? But how Mehmeti's been allowed to get into that situation in the first place is what's baffling to me and what's really infuriating to me. Our lack of ability to sell well anyway. Not important. We need, and if Zach Viner goes this January to Wrexham, who made some serious bids on deadline day. I wouldn't get too excited, Stephan. He is now injured for 3 weeks. So
we'll fix him up. It'll be fine. We got a good medical team at the club.
Injured? No. He is injured. He did come off against Ipswich. He did look in a bit of pain. So if he leaves for whatever reason,
you'll be all right. You'll be fine. You'll be good.
Yeah. We need 2 or 3 players, and this board have got 7 days. I think it's a week left of the transfer window. This board, this ownership to a certain degree, the board has got 7 days to save its backside a little bit, because we went into the January transfer window, the hope, the expectation a little bit of we wanted to come on the other side of it with a better squad. And really, we went into this transfer window going, okay, we only need 1 or 2 positions. We signed George Earthy and we went, okay, that's fine. We now need about 2 or 3 positions to fill. Definitely 2. Maybe not 3, but 2. We need a replacement for Anis Mehmeti. We can't go into the season with George Earthy and Scott Twine as our number 10s. That's just an absolute no-go to me. We need one more body in there, and I know I've seen Bristol City fans going, "Oh, you've got Mark Sykes in there. You can play him in there." No, thank you. I like Mark Sykes. He's a wing back. He can stay at wing back and he can perform well there. Why are we shoehorning players into positions they're not meant to play? And we lost Josh Stokes, so him and Yu Hirakawa, to a certain degree, probably our most capable number 10s, and Mehmeti that could have filled in there. We've lost 3 players who could play in that position effectively. We need at least one to come back, sort of try and rebalance the squad. And we need a forward. And what have we done for that forward department? And I've mentioned this to you guys for weeks, haven't I? About we need a forward. We need a forward. We need a forward. I said it last summer, and we tried to sign Delano Bergsorg on deadline day. We missed out. Okay, fine, whatever. This board have had 4 months. This recruitment team has had 4 months to try and sort of tie Delano Bergsorg down to a deal, if that's who we really wanted. And we've spent the first 22 days of this January transfer window trying to chase Delano Bergsorg down. And what's happened? Middlesbrough decided to keep him. I don't know what they've been doing for those past 4 months. It's craziness to me. We've lost so much of our depth. We've not necessarily lost a hell of a lot of quality. We've not lost, I'd say, players who are making a great impact. But just look at the squad now compared to what we went into January with. It is night and day. There's not a lack of numbers, but there's severe weakening in players and options. You could say you could rely on to a certain degree. Those are gone as well, and those insurance options are gone as well.
Annie, would you take Elliot Lee from Wrexham? Because he's just left the club and he's looking for a club. So you could have him if you want.
We were linked with Ryan Hardy, to be fair, Stephan. And
True.
Barnes,
I mean, I was trying to give you a 2 for 1 there. I was trying to be nice. So
2 for 1.
But I won't get 1 free in the ones.
The problem you have is you've got the 3 million from Mehmeti, you've got the 11 million from Antoine Semenyo, and
yeah, because we're selling cause that's correct. So
God,
you've got 14 million to play with there, but it looks like
the losses are so high, and the FFP situation is as such. You can't spend even a healthy fraction of that money straight back into the squad. I think Mehmeti money might well be spent. But you're trying to replace Anis Mehmeti's goal output, which is about 13 goals and assists this season. I think 14. On
good
2 million. I think 2 million. Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, it's all right. Just loan Chris Regan. It's all right. That piece is anything to go by.
Yeah, I know people are saying, "Oh, you've still got a week of the transfer window. We can do something." I'm concerned. I am concerned.
I tell you, Annie, I can't wait to Valentine's weekend because that's when we've got you.
Stephan's getting a bit ahead of his station at the moment. Let's wait and see what happens.
Oh no, we don't. Valentine's weekend is the FA Cup, so it'll be in midweek.
Oh,
yeah.
It's around that though, isn't it? Isn't it like just after?
Yeah, I think
before.
Yeah.
It did say on the website it was either a week before or a week after, so I totally forgot about the midweek.
Yeah, it'll be the midweek either side of that. Anyway, we're looking after Reece Cleary. We're looking at Reece Cleary from Barnsley. Barnsley want about 5 million. So good luck affording that. If you're not going to spend, if you can't spend a fraction of that money. Ryan Hardy. whatever. Ryan Hardy on loan apparently is something, or not on loan. Ryan Hardy just in general is something where someone we're looking at as well. If whether or not that gets done, but no concrete rumours as of such. And if Zach Viner leaves, as I mentioned, you need another centre back because Luke McNally's out for still a considerable amount of time. You need left with Atkinson, Dickey, and Tanner, and you've lost Hayden Roberts early in the window as well. You've lost Elijah Morrison. Cam Pring is playing in that left wing back position, so is Neto Borges. This window is going pretty badly at the moment. Still got time to save face, not a lot. And if you told me on the 25th of January that we'd be in this position, I think my head would have exploded. It's not quite exploded, but if by 2nd of Feb, 7 p.m. or whatever it is, we've not got at least two, not just any players, quality players, because that's the position we're in now. We need players in who are going to make an impact right now. Not 6 months, not a year and a half. Right now. The division is that competitive. Gerhard Struber is on edge, and he clearly is sending messages to the board, going, "You back me now, or I'm not going to be a happy chappy." He's foreshadowing a little bit in terms of what he's going to do to the board.
Don't get me wrong, Annie. Since he's come into the club, I think he's been a breath of fresh air for you guys in the dugout. I like his style of play. I like how attacking you guys are now. And I bet you wish, in hindsight, if we'd only kept Semenyo and not let him go when he was a youngster. But hey ho.
Well, yeah, but we did sell we sold Semenyo for 10 million to Bournemouth, which at the time was a pretty decent sale, and we needed to sell someone. So it was going to be Semenyo or Scott, and we sold Semenyo. So we made a decision on that, and I think it's what it is, I guess.
But
and he's clearly that concerned that he's gone off. Oh no, he's back.
Sorry, my internet just went for a moment.
No, I do get the point you're making, though. You don't want to. Yes, you've made. I still say. I think if Nemeti wasn't going to sell, they're going to sign a contract. Then I can get why you sold him. But the issue is, you then need to replace him in January, which is already a notoriously hard window to try and bring in forward-thinking players at a certain end of the pitch. I think it sounds to me like the best thing you could be doing is try to get a couple of really quality loans, which is good in the short term, but I know it's good in the short term.
Michael, we've got Radek Vitek on loan. He's not going to stay. No person in their right mind is going to think Radek Vitek's going to be here next season. He's going to get a move right now.
He's a good player.
Yeah, Vitek's going to get either a Premier League move or a top end championship. I'm talking parachute team. That guy's that good. So we're going to need two goalkeepers. Neto Borges, whether or not he stays, I don't know. Probably looking at another left wing back. Jason Knight is out of contract next summer. Not this summer, the summer after. Ross McCrory, the same. Those are probably our two biggest assets, apart from Adam Randall, that are running out of time in terms of their contracts. You are looking at a hard reset. You're looking at a big reset this summer, and we've already got a lot on our plate. And if Gerhard Struber isn't happy, we know what he did at Barnsley when he wasn't happy. Decided to go off to New York and do that job. So it's simple. Back Struber, or he's going to do what he did to Barnsley and just leave. And he's not particularly bothered because he's not here to just play chicken and wait for the board to take his bait or something. He's just gonna leave. He's not particularly bothered by anything.
And I like that. I think it's a breath of fresh air having a manager in the dugout or a head coach, as we're now known these days, that's not a yes man to the board, that puts forward what he wants, or if he doesn't get that, he'll do a Marcelo Bielsa, not be very happy, and leave the club in unceremoniously circumstances or unceremonious circumstances. But I actually think that's a breath of fresh air. We don't have enough managers in the top two divisions in England now that are willing to say, back me or I'm gone.
So
and
basically, go on.
I was going to say, and you've also got the previous evidence at Bristol City of Nigel Pearson, who fell down a similar sort of pathway and sort of criticised the board. Sort of, you have to read between the lines, but clearly criticising the board in press conferences and stuff, and got sacked pretty soon later. Don't know if similar situation with Gerhard, but I think there's a partisan support of Gerhard Struber and an expectation, a clear sort of vision of this guy needs to be backed. Otherwise we're not screwed, but we're not going to be anywhere near where we want to be this season. And yesterday's win is just papering over the cracks. I mean, we should be beating Sheffield Wednesday whether we've got Mehmeti or not, realistically. There's no disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday fans, but once you come up against a Wrexham at home, Sheffield United at home, Norwich at home, teams in and around you again, and you're sort of proper competitive championship teams, and you don't have that player to come on, that player to change a game, you're going to be struggling. You're going to be struggling big time. And if you don't have the squad capability to go and rotate in especially in the run-in when it's that much harder to win games, you're not going to survive, I'm afraid.
Totally agreeing with the loss of Barry Bannon to Sheffield Wednesday. Now their main sort of anchor's gone, their main support system, the captain, the lifeblood of Sheffield Wednesday is gone. And I hate to say this, but it's Sheffield Wednesday versus Wrexham next week. We go to Hillsborough again. Last time we were there, it was 2-2. But I think this time, because of everything that's happened, it's going to be completely different.
Well, we'll see when it comes to the next set of fixtures. So, long story short, Bristol City, so Nemeti's gone. They got the Antoine Semenyo money that they can't spend because of the accounts. They need a lot of reinforcements. Jared Struber could not be happy. So, apart from that, it's all going swimmingly at Ashton Gate, basically.
What I would suggest is Bristol City fans, buy as many lottery tickets as you can. And if you get a winner, invest it in your club. Rapido.
And finally, I think there's also frustration within the fan base when you look at teams around us at the moment, Wrexham, Birmingham, particularly, and you're going, these are championship clubs that we're competing with and direct competition with, and they are spending 15, 20 times what we are. And why is that the case? How are we meant to sort of sustain a full championship campaign of being able to compete with them? Obviously Wrexham and Birmingham now could just sign 15 duds and they don't do anything. But generally, football follows the money. Just look at the parachute teams. Yeah. So it's a sad reality. But yeah, this squad needs reinforcement. It needs reinforcement now. It needs. Yeah. We've already been hindered this sort of window, this month, where we've probably dropped points in games we shouldn't have because of a lack of activity so far this window, and that needs to be rectified. So if I'm here sat next week and we haven't got one or two in, I think
your head's going to be on Mark.
My patience is that close to being at its wit's end with this board and this recruitment team and the sort of general what the hell are we doing? If there's nothing in by next Sunday, my head's gone. Yeah, my head's gone.
Well, I think on deadline day, lads, I think we're actually planning to go live on said channel for some of transfer deadline day. So you'll get the breaking news right here first.
Now, see, if we weren't playing Burnley on deadline day at home, then I probably would be more than happy to join you. But for the second year in a row, we're playing on a Monday night when deadline day is happening. So that's going to be fun. So yeah.
I remember the days on deadline day where there was specifically no football matches, just so players could finalise their moves and force through their moves. Then all of a sudden,
Thank you very much, Sky Sports. Thank you very much.
Years ago, Sky Sports sort of changed the deal and says, "No, you're even playing on deadline day, so just say a player was playing and we knew that we were going to another club, so we're playing the game one night, we're travelling the next day, medical the next day, training the next day, with no time to rest. It's crazy."
Yeah, well,
But it's
that's
good
just
fun, though. It's good fun.
well. I mean, it's just weird because I mean, last year I got it when we were playing Middlesbrough away for the championship. That's a pretty big fixture. I can understand why that was moved, but why is Sunderland Burnley on TV? I don't get it.
Well,
some of the other fixtures in the Premier League.
If it's at the Stadium of Light, I can see why, because you're the only team that's unbeaten at home.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I don't get me wrong, I'm proud of that. But this is also the classic Sunderland where we'll probably lose to Burnley. So wait and see.
And I suppose to be fair for the M&F, we have to be fair and show every team at least once or twice within the season. So but my favourite ever transfer deadline day was the failed Peter Odden winning move from from West Brom to QPR when he drove up to QPR in his nice looking Jeep Range Rover car, sat outside with fans surrounding his car and the Sky Sports guy, and he couldn't get into the club because Harry Redknapp and the sporting director, I think it was Wes Ferdinand at the time, I might be wrong, but they wouldn't let him into the club because no conversations had even taken place with West Brom, so he had to drive back to West Brom with his tail between his legs and play it the rest of the season.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was
iconic. That was 9 years ago.
Well, see, I'm trying to remember what was the one? Was it outside QPR's? No, that was the other one. There was one very inappropriate stuffed up appropriate balloon thing. I can't remember what it was, whether it was a dildo or whether it was something else, but there was something very inappropriate that became iconic on Sky Sports on a deadline day.
Arsenal away. Arsenal, I think.
I think that could have been either Arsenal or Norwich City. I mean, I know Norwich City fans have had some, let's just say, rather ropey moments on live deadline day broadcasts.
I have no idea where this is going.
Especially with
right. Okay.
Sports reporter Katie Shanahan.
Let's move on from that. Let's get into some madness. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And we've been on for. If you're still watching after 2 hours and 12 minutes, then fair play
to you guys. Fair play. Yeah.
But by the way, what I will wait. I'll very quickly go over.
I've got the table ready. If you want me to.
Well, one last thing I will say: tomorrow night, obviously, we have Norwich City versus Coventry City in the Championship. Yes. It's a chance for Coventry, if they win, to go 11 points clear of third place Ipswich and fourth place Hull City. Chance for them to get their points gap back to 6 points. Yeah. Chance to get their points gap to second back to 6. Well, get the table on now if you want, Stephan. If you don't mind, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no problem.
And obviously Norwich as it stands are just outside the relegation zone. But of course, Portsmouth didn't win, Blackburn didn't win. Obviously, Oxford won for them. But yes, so obviously tomorrow night, Norwich versus Coventry at Carrow Road. Which, to be fair, the games between these two do tend to have some interesting scorelines, or at least very interesting games themselves. So even if you look back at the reverse fixture at CBS, when Coventry, but basically Norwich went but this is Pete Lee and Manning ball at Norwich, pretty much this. But basically went 1-0 up, then faced about 20,000 shots, and then Coventry scored in like the 95th minute. So yeah, there you go. I had a feeling that might tickle Andy's fancy there. But anyway, so yeah, Coventry, of course, are top prior to tomorrow night's game at Norwich on 58 points. Second, of course, in Middlesbrough after their fantastic weekend for them, really, with Ipswich losing and then winning on 55 points. Ipswich and Hull joint third and fourth, obviously separated by goal difference, both on 50. Millwall fifth in 49 points. And then, of course, as Stephan is probably going to like me saying, Wrexham jump into the playoff places on 44 points, thanks to that late win against QPR. I can only imagine Annie would be cursing QPR because if they got something, Bristol City would be sixth. But yeah. Okay, never mind then. He's just made me look like a liar. Anyway, so Watford in 7th and Preston in 9th. All three teams on 43 points. Stoke and Derby on 42. QPR on 40. Birmingham on 39. Leicester on 38. Southampton on 37. Bet you weren't saying, but you thought you wouldn't be saying that come January at the start of the season. Swansea, of course, in 16th on 36 points, I think that is. Yep, 36 points. 17th Sheffield United on 35 points after yesterday's victory. Charlton in 18th on 32 points. And then West Bromwich Albion just below them in 19th on the same points tally. And then on 20th place and 21st place, respectively, are Norwich and Portsmouth, separated by goal difference, both on 30. Portsmouth, of course, have a game in hand after today's Derby draw with Southampton. 22nd, Blackburn, 29 points. 23rd, Oxford, 27 points. And, of course, rather sad to look at, but Sheffield Wednesday on -7 points. And that is the championship table. So, and thanks very much to Ant for deciding to make a special appearance to start swearing about how he's gone from Champions League in Porto to potentially Cambridge United or something away next season in League One. So, wait and see. And then make a joke about Rotherham, and they might not even play Rotherham because they're going to get relegated by the looks of it. So, which is classic. And no, Stephan, Annie, thanks again for joining, and thanks again to everybody for watching, and especially with how long this episode is. If we're planning to do a live on deadline day, maybe I might try and join for a little bit. But obviously, thanks to Sky Sports deciding to be home on the Monday, it means I might not be able to do it very much. But
I'll be on that, Michael. So I'll bring you the breaking news anyway.
That'll be all right then. Yeah, we'll have the breaking news of the deluded story. Breaking news: Sunderland signing Fernand Lopez from Barca. Which, by the way, that is not happening. I don't know how that started, but that is absolute nonsense. Let's quash that right away. So, yes, anyway, thanks very much for you two. Any final words before we go off?
Come on, the Wrexham.
I had a feeling
Sign some players.
Oh, yeah, it's not a joke. Sign some players. You should have Andy should have got that clip and just ended with that. Robbie from TV. Thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we will see you in the next one next week. Hopefully it's not as chaotic as this one.